Good afternoon. Regular session mayor and city council meeting, 6 p.m. Wednesday, May 6, 2026, City Hall Council Chambers. Call this meeting to order. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Mr. Doyle, would do us the honor?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We continue with call to the public. Mr. Raymond Corey, would you please come up and state your name and address? We got 3 minutes, please.
Sure.
Turn on your mic, sir, please. Okay.
Turn green.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Raymond Corey. I live in Meadow Hills. I'm here representing Corey Enterprises this evening. The reason I come to the city council now is because I started out with David Calvillo back in December, and I proposed to him, what I'm going to propose to you tonight is a land swap of property in Meadow Hills. I give the city land and you give me some land. So I started with David Calvillo, and that was back in December. And a month later, I checked back with him and he had quit. And then I tried to get a hold of Mr. Kramer, and now Mr. Kramer's not here. So here I am going right to the top. What I'm proposing is a land swap. We have a parcel which is located here on this drawing of Lot F. Corey Enterprises owns Lot F, but I'd like to trade it to the city for 20,000 square feet adjacent to Lot A. And that 20,000 square feet is right at the end of the driving range. It's way to the north end of the driving range, a little farther north than my backyard. And there's 33,000 square feet in Lot F, and we're only asking for 20,000 square feet in order to make Lot A 1 acre. Hopefully it's a win-win for both Corey Enterprises and the city of Nogales. Right now the city is maintaining the 20,000 square feet and there's really nothing going on there. It's kind of no man's land. And Lot F is loaded with mature trees. They're beautiful trees that have been there for many years. If the city were to own that, they could, make a picnic area. It's right close to the dog park, and a lot of people go to the dog park. So that's my proposition. I'll leave it with you. I know you can't do anything tonight. If you have any questions, I could answer them.
Thank you, but we're excluded from
Asking questions.
yes, from on call to the public, but we'll look into it. Thank you.
Okay, hopefully I can get on the agenda for next month.
Okay.
Thank
Yes, we'll look. Thank you. He left. I had him twice. Now we go to Adam Dalton. Will you please rise and state your name and address, please? 3 minutes.
For Francisco, so we're
The same. So yes, my name is Adam Dalton. I live at 520 West Crawford Street, and I am here as the Nogales representative for the Nogales International Film Festival. And
my name is Francisco Landin. I'm operating out of International Street, Holler and Sanders. And I am the founder of Southern Arizona Film Society, which hosts the Nogales International Film Festival.
So today, our time in front of you has two distinct purposes. The first of which is basically to kind of come before you before our meeting on next Monday at 11 a.m., where we are going to ask for in-kind support for toilets as well as chairs for the event on International Street for the Film on the Fence, which is basically, if you guys are familiar with last year's event, where the film is on in Nogales, Sonora, and also on our side, same film, both sides, uniting the community. And Francisco can also speak more to the details of the festival.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, the festival will be from Wednesday the 13th to Sunday the 17th. Screenings in the morning are at the Oasis Theater as well as the GOC building. And on Holler and Sanders on Wednesday evening. And then the Film on the Fence days are going to be Thursday evening, Friday evening, and Saturday evening. We're bringing in a lot of filmmakers from Mexico City, from LA, from New York, from Miami. They're coming with their films. We have directors, we have actors, and we're having events at Holler and Sanders every day, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in the afternoon between 3 and 6 p.m. before we go over to the border wall for the screening.
And something else I wanted to mention as well is that the film festival, both on the Sonora side as well as on the Arizona side, is free for the community to attend. So we also would love to see you all there, and we'd be honored if you would consider attending as well. So we look forward to seeing you next Monday when we ask for in-kind support, and really appreciate the time tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you both. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're looking. That is it for a call to public. Before I go to proclamations, I'd like to congratulate. This is Municipal Clerk Week. So, Mr. McGinn, congratulations on your week.
Next week will be Municipal Attorneys Week. So, no, there is no such week.
Next week, proclamations. Mental Health Awareness Month. Proclamation Mental Health Awareness, whereas mental health is essential to the overall well-being of individuals, families, and communities, and whereas mental health conditions affect people of all ages, backgrounds, and walks of life, and early support, prevention, and access to care can significantly improve outcomes, and whereas stigma and misunderstanding continue to be barriers preventing individuals from seeking help, support, and treatment, and whereas communities play a vital role in promoting mental wellness, fostering resilience, and supporting recovery through education, compassion, and access to services, and whereas local organizations and the Mental Health Awareness Alliance of Santa Cruz County are working collaboratively to provide education, prevention, and treatment that strengthen individual and families, and whereas the City of Nogales is committed to raising awareness, reducing stigma, and encouraging all residents to prioritize mental health and seek support when needed. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed that the City of Nogales Mayor and Council do hereby proclaim the month of May as Mental Health Awareness Month in the City of Nogales, and we urge all citizens to participate in the activities that promote mental health awareness, support those in need, and build stronger, healthier communities for all. I, in witness of, we have hereunto set my hands on cause and be fixed by great seal of the City of Nogales, Santa Cruz County, Mayor Jorge Maldonado. Thank you, and congratulations on being Mental Health Awareness Month. Ms. Blanca? She's not here? Blanca? There you go. Well, Lena, come on up.
Thank you.
Next, we move to presentations. Persons experiencing homeless in Nogales, Mr. Jimenez.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. A few months back, excuse me, Mayor, if I may, please.
Go ahead, sir.
A few months back, I was asked by Mr. Pocken to bring a presentation on persons experiencing homelessness and how the police department reacts and responds to this. I do have a presentator with me, which is Mrs. Quick from the Mariposa Clinic. That's part of that coalition to end homelessness. I'm going to give a quick presentation on my part, and then she'll segue in at the end of what they do.
Go ahead.
First, I'm going to get into the description of what homelessness really is. It's a person that lacks a fixed, regular, or adequate nighttime residence or a primary residence that is a place not meant for human habitation, which could be the streets, cars, abandoned vehicles, or in some cases, emergency shelter or transitional housing. A lot of these places aren't meant for people, and they do what they do and as best they can. Included in certain individuals these homelessness are people that are sometimes fleeing some type of a situation they're in. And this includes people that are victims of domestic violence, stalking, other types of criminal acts that are forcing these individuals to seek some type of shelter somewhere else. Bottom line, there isn't a single cause for experiencing homelessness in the United States, i.e. also here in Santa Cruz County and Nogales. It's usually the result of several factors overlapping, but the main driver is the lacking of affordable housing. Statistics show that the biggest factor is the gap between what people earn and what housing costs. When rent goes up, when wages stay the same, people struggle living paycheck to paycheck, and sometimes that even includes their loss of a job. Sometimes they have high medical bills that causes this, unexpected expenses. And in some cases, even full-time workers experience homelessness. So it's not just people that aren't having a secure job or funding that's available to them. Another thing is poverty and economic instability. Low wages, as I mentioned, unstable employment, and limited savings makes it hard for people to recover from financial setbacks, which, like I mentioned, includes like medical bills or other costs that takes them, beyond their capacity. Mental illness and substance abuse are a big factor, and that's something that we see here in our area of Nogales. Conditions like depression, schizophrenia, or addiction can make it difficult to maintain employment or stable housing, especially when access to treatment is limited. However, these are contributing factors, not the root cause for most people. Like mentioned earlier, domestic violence, many individuals, especially women and children, experience homelessness while escaping unsafe or abusing living situations. Another factor is lack of support system. People without family or community support are more vulnerable if they lose housing. This includes youth living in foster care, veterans transitioning to civilian life, and people exiting from incarceration. And basically, the systematic issues, broader structural programs also play a big role, such as limited availability of low-income housing, gaps in healthcare and mental health services, and historical inequalities and discrimination. So now, the police department, I'm going to get into what the police department handles this issue. First of all and foremost, the Nogales Police Department does not maintain general orders, which are the policies specifically directed at individuals experiencing homelessness, as doing so can be perceived as targeting, profiling, or discriminatory. Instead, the department follows best practices adopted by other law enforcement agencies by enforcing laws and ordinances that apply uniformly to all individuals, regardless of housing status. So we're basically saying we don't have rules that specifically apply to them. It encompasses all the community. Most jurisdictions have established ordinances that address the behaviors such as trespassing, illegal dumping, or illegal camping, I should say, or public safety concerns, rather than focusing on particular population. which in this case, I'm talking about homelessness. This approach ensures equitable enforcement while respecting the rights and dignity of all members of the community. The Nogales Police Department responds to persons experiencing homelessness. We do not provide shelter housing programs. Instead, our role is more about public safety, outreach, and connecting people to services. And this is how we help. We respond to calls for service and welfare checks. Officers respond when someone reports a person experiencing homelessness or in distress. There are safety concerns with the person being attended to. It could be medical issues, exposure to heat and cold, especially in this community when it comes to the heat in the summertime. Our priority is making sure the person is safe, but we're not just enforcing the laws when we get there. We check on their welfare too. Another thing is we connect people to local services, as will be described by my co-presentator. Officers often refer to individuals to local resources, such as, if you guys are all familiar with the Crossroads mission, that maintains a homeless shelter in this area, and also the group I mentioned, which is the Santa Cruz County Local Coalition to End Homelessness. These organizations provide, but are not limited to shelter, meals and showers, recovery program, and support services. Police may transport or guide individuals there when appropriate, which basically means we give them rides to the facilities when it's appropriate and they are accepted. We do community policing and outreach, which we do to the whole community. The department emphasizes community-oriented policing, meaning officers build relationships with residents, which includes the vulnerable communities. Officers do foot patrols and engage directly with people in need. Officers attempt to connect people with help rather than just going there to enforce the laws. Enforcement is applicable when necessary. If there's an issue such as trespassing or theft or drug use or any type of public safety risks, officers will and may take enforcement action, but we aim to balance this with offering help and resources first. So we just don't show up and arrest people or take enforcement action. We make sure that we can mitigate it as best as possible. I didn't know there was an effect there, so I was surprised too. Yeah. The big picture is persons experiencing homelessness isn't handled by the police alone. It's a shared effort between police, nonprofits and shelters, city and county services. Persons experiencing homelessness do not have one single solution. It requires a coordinated approach that addresses both immediate needs and the root issues or causes. The most effective strategies combine housing, services, and prevention. Now, mind you, not everyone will accept help when it comes to homelessness, and we experience this all the time. We offer help, and they basically ignore us and just walk away. And it's not one of these, and it's one of the hardest realities to accept that when you do offer help to these people that we perceive need assistance, and they just walk away from us. So, it is frustrating at times, but we understand that sometimes they just don't want the help. A common misconception is the homeless can be solved by offering help. That's not true. But in practice, it's more complicated. Some people decline services for the reasons that are often very rational from their perspectives. They see it different than when we approach them and let them know we can help. What happened? Something? Miguel. Yeah, that was Miguel's fault, okay. So much for City Clerk Week. Okay. And getting back to the topic, past negative experiences with shelters, law enforcement, social workers have these population also decline services because of those past experiences. Mental health conditions like post-traumatic stress disorder or severe anxiety also makes it hard for them to accept help. Substance use disorder that makes structured programs difficult to follow. Sometimes the shelters don't allow them if they have this issue. Lack of trust in the institution or fear of losing autonomy is something that they feel that they're going to lose their control over how they live their life. And then some of these shelters do have rules, which includes curfew, sobrieties, and separation for partners and pets. And I'm going to touch a little bit on pets. I know some of you have seen homeless people with pets. And we do get calls of concern saying that, can you go check on the pets? And not usually on the persons, but we do both. And we reached out to Animal Control Center, and they do come and do welfare checks. They provide water, They provide food. They provide vet services when accepted by the persons. So the pets are taken care of as best as possible. But sometimes it just doesn't look like they're taking care of them. But in my experience, sometimes they take care of them better than most people. And that's really, the truth. Because of this, effective strategies don't rely on one-time offer for help. They focus on persistence and flexibility, which basically means is we keep trying as best we can and see what they can do. So that ends my portion of the presentation. If you do have questions at this point, I can answer them, but if not, I'll bring Ms. Quick up here to talk to you about what the coalition does.
Ms. Doe, you had a comment?
Well, I had a question.
Mike?
I just want to know roughly how big is this population here in Nogales?
We did, I guess you can call it a population check locally, and you got to understand it also fluctuates with the time of the year, the season, if it's hot or cold. So when it's cold, it seems to diminish a little bit, and she might correct me if I'm wrong, but when it's warm, they seem to be around. And so we have a floating population that we've seen that fluctuates, and also understand we do have water crossers that come across that are able to cross, but are also homeless. And it goes somewhere between 10 to 20 that we've seen in this community. And they come and go. They're both male and female with pets. And we try to address the best we can. But I know the coalition is doing a good job trying to find them services or help that can either get them to a different location, which if they so desire. But it is a task in itself, but we're trying our best.
The other question is on the shelter that we have, Crossroad Missions, how many people do they handle? And I imagine they have rules and regulations that probably leave some people out.
Yes. I don't know the exact number that they can house. I know they have different areas where they house women by themselves, males, women with children. And they have an area where they house women that have been victims of domestic violence. They can't allow their pets there, but they do have rules. The most important one is their sobriety. They make sure that they haven't been consuming alcohol or any type of illicit drug. And also the curfew, that they need to be there at certain times in the morning. And they have to help out. They do give them some type of task to help out, whether it be cleaning or doing stuff of that nature that helps support the mission's efforts.
Okay, thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Chief, one question. Do you get any complaints from the merchants, from the property owners, with people staying at their properties?
Yes, we do. Not that often, because a lot of the times these people experience homelessness understand that they could be causing a problem. So they'll go there and they'll ask if they can get some food given to them, or they're just taking a break there. And when we show up, we just tell them, what the business here prefers that you go find some other place house. We tell them, there is city parks, but there is a time limit that you can be there until. And they cooperate. They leave. Some of them set up camp overnight and sleep in places. And that's when our officers do make welfare checks on them to make sure they're okay and they're not having any problems. We do recommend they go to places to get shelter. But like I said, some of them have those rules where they won't take them because they have pets, or they like to do stuff that violates the rules that they have there. So we do get calls, but I won't say they're very constant. But when we do, we address them like explained, where we try to balance the support with the enforcement.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, now you can go.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Quick. I'm the Health and Social Services Manager at Mariposa Community Health Center, and I'm also the chair for the Santa Cruz County Local Coalition on Homelessness. So I'm going to talk first about the coalition. We received a grant through the Arizona Department of Housing for us to have different community groups come together. We meet monthly to talk about shared initiatives around homelessness. So that's pulling together resources, trying to understand what other agencies in the community or regionally do and offer. For example, Nogales Police Department attends our meetings, Hope Incorporated, Crossroads Mission, Catholic Community Services, Carondelet Hospital, and other organizations. That's just to name a few. So we meet, we try to figure out different initiatives. We also have a case conferencing for coordinated entry, which means that individuals who are HUD definition homeless, they're able to take a vulnerability assessment, which is an intake survey. It gets them on a list for when and if there is available vouchers for certain types of housing programs. We don't see that many vouchers coming through Santa Cruz County at the moment, but if there is a voucher and they are on that list, then there is a group of members from the coalition who are able to vote based on a scoring, and everything is anonymous, so it's not based on who we know or anything like that, and we can select someone for that voucher. Recently, we did have one voucher available, and we were able to house a gentleman who had been homeless due to a medical condition, and he was homeless for a year, and he's now living in an apartment. So that was a huge success of ours. Something else that we do as a coalition is our point in time count, which is an official count of homelessness. So we survey the community, and for this past year, we counted 17 homeless individuals, which means living in a car, an uninhabitable space, or on the streets. And then other things that we do in general is that we're trying to coordinate those referrals and get people in touch to different resources. So within Mariposa, we have a housing and homeless support coordinator position, and they're helping individuals who are homeless or who are facing homelessness. We work closely with Crossroads Mission and Hope, because we know that the mission can provide some of that shelter depending on the situation, and then Hope can help provide that peer support and recovery initiative for anyone that has mental health or substance issues. But in general, I did look at our 2025 numbers, and through the Mariposa program, in conjunction with working with our partners, of course, we were able to provide 4 bus tickets to individuals who are not from our community and wanted to get back to where they were from. And we were able to assist 358 people who were facing homelessness or were homeless. So we did reach out to quite a few. We had 6 individuals complete that vulnerability survey to get onto the voucher list, and we made 217 outgoing referrals to community agencies. So we do work hard. There is a lot of need in our community. There's a lot of people who are one paycheck away from losing their homes, right? And we know that rent is going up. People are getting kicked off food stamps. There's a lot of changes in that landscape, and people are kind of trying to navigate that themselves. So we have budget worksheets, we have tip sheets, and different things of that nature. And we work closely with MPD, especially through the MPD Cares project, which helps kind of streamline those referrals to include domestic violence, homelessness, and mental health and peer support recovery. Questions?
Go ahead, Ms. Para.
Chief, thank you for the presentation. And Ms. Ryan Quick, you're amazing. I personally want to thank you for the hard work that you and your team do. And working with you was a pleasure. Thank you for having that gentleman have an apartment and not live out of his vehicle anymore. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. There is one that I've seen coming down Grand Avenue on the turn. Basically, it's the entrance. I think it's the door entrance to the back of where O'Reilly's is, but facing Grand Avenue. He's living in that, I don't know, 4x6 entrance to the door. I don't know if you guys have addressed them. I actually stopped and gave him a couple of hamburgers the other day, but I said, "Have you talked to him?" He wouldn't talk. He wouldn't say, no.
Yeah, we were able to do outreach. We usually work closely with Hope in terms of street outreach to provide, one, just information, and then water, and then letting them know where meals are. Crossroads Mission does provide free lunch and dinners every day, and Hope Inc. provides free lunch, but we have made a connection.
With that person?
Yes.
I know he has a nice white dog. 2 dogs? Okay, that's all one. Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
Yes, you mentioned that you're funded by the Arizona Department of Housing. Is there any other resource that you can apply for at like in the federal level?
We're always looking at grants. So I work through the Community Health Services Department of Mariposa, so we're always looking at different grant initiatives. The housing landscape is kind of a big monster that's hard to work with, but we're kind of, like I said, slowly but surely getting our feet wet with this initiative. We also look at other grants and opportunities that might look at more direct assistance if someone needs help with a utility bill or a rent. So we do look at those, and we are able to assist those that have a sustainable plan.
Have you run into any veterans that are homeless here in town?
Yeah, so we also have the veterans as part of our LCH. Our coalition. So we have the VA as part of the program, and anyone that is marked as someone who is a veteran, we're able to connect them with the VA, and they can do same process but specific for veterans.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Of course.
Any more questions? Thank you and great job.
Thank you.
Keep on doing it.
Thanks.
Next, B, progress in Public Safety Operations Center, PSOCA, Mr. Jimenez.
Mayor, if I may, again. What I'm going to do right now, I'm going to give you a quick recap until I get more in depth with the progress of the Public Safety Operations Center. So I'm going to skim quickly through the past here. In 2023, the City of Nogales / MPD was awarded $10.7 million grant from the Border Fence Technology Program, which is originated by Arizona Department of Emergency and Military Affairs. And this was to basically upgrade our communication systems that we had down here. Inoperability in communications is a key factor that needs to be addressed. It goes back all the way back to 9/11 when they found out that inoperability was a big task to overcome during that emergency. So a lot of money and funding has been awarded to a lot of areas. So like I said, we were lucky enough to get that $10.7 million. The point of this grant, in conjunction with the Department of Public Safety, was in essence was basically to improve communications in this region, which involves Arizona winds, and also to establish a better communication center for us, the PSAP, which is our 911 center. And this was to provide, this grant was to provide all the law enforcement personnel with modern communication equipment, which means radio equipment for the police department's vehicles and our portable radios that we carry on our persons. And that, once again, will make them compatible with Arizona Winds, which is the backbone of the communications center for the state. So in essence, we were going to be able to talk to not only each other as police officers, but to county, state, and federal agencies once this project is finalized. And this also meant upgrading the communication sites, which is where the towers are, where, you know, our phone connections are up there. And it's 3 sites that we have in this area, which is Crawford Hill, Mount Benedict, which is in the Seal area, and Red Mountain, which is located out in the Eastern County area. And the point with this was also to modernize and upgrade our 911 center, but also find a facility that allows us to have multi-agency collaboration, which means with the future, it growing to include other agencies within that center. And also, the cherry on top was actually to pay for all the services that was going to be charged yearly for at least up to 10 years for not only the Nogales Police Department, but all partner agencies in this area. At that point, police administration, engaged city management, and a few of the elected officials that are here present over the course of 20 and 24 regarding our PSOC plan, and hopefully finding a facility that doesn't exist at this point, but is underway in the county. And hopefully, you know, you'll see here in a short minute where we're at with that. So in January 2024, as some of you recall, the former Arizona National Guard Armory was reverted back to the city ownership after the National Guard relinquished the property. In March of 2024, Police Administration was directed to evaluate the facility for establishing possibly the PSOC there. Police Administration briefed city management and the mayor about the facility's current conditions to include deficiencies. It was lacking some badly needed upgrades. And we also worked with the Department of Public Safety to see if that facility met the requirements that they had set for establishing a public safety operations center, which it did at the time. We also facilitated tours of the facilities for various elected officials and also other parties, stakeholders, to familiarize them with the problems the facility had after it was reverted back to the city, while still explaining the vision that we have for the future PSOC there. At that point, Police Administration was directed to look for funding because at that point, the city did not have the funding to establish the PSOC, and I'm talking the bricks and mortar part. The initial grant was basically more the communication structure that needed to be built, but the actual building, there was no funding to improve that facility. So we were lucky enough that in February 2025, City of Nogales / PD was successful in obtaining an additional $2.7 million from the Arizona Department of Public Safety Local Border Support Grant to upgrade and modernize the public safety operations building that I'm going to call it from here on. This grant funding expires June of 2026, but we did ask for an extension and was awarded, so it will be now June of 2027. So we're good there so far. At that point, February 2025, knowing that we had to partner with local utility company, in this case Unisource, to explain to them what our plans were and what electrical upgrades were needed, they explained to us that they needed at least a 6 to 8 month, what they call a lead, so their end can cover the requirements that are provided electricity for this building. So on April 25th of 2025, unfortunately, city manager at the time issued a memorandum to police administration giving police administration a stop order, basically, and giving himself direct authority over the building. May of 2027, the contractor project company, McKinstry, was invited to an initial design review meeting by the former city manager. On May 8th, exterior fence upgrades were completed, and this is something that we at the police department started before we were told to stop getting involved in this project. On May 13th, window replacement quotes were obtained and provided to the former city manager in hope of having this project move forward as quick as possible with the deadlines in mind. We also provided quotes on June of 2025 for the upgrades of the HVAC system that was provided by local vendors. This information was also shared with the city manager just for future reference, so he can have it in hand, so when that need was needed at the building, it was there and ready and available. September 25th, the asbestos abatement was started and completed. I'm sorry, I skipped one. Let's backtrack. July 2024, when McKinstry Company received signed contracts to begin design services for the building, which was, we felt good about that. Now we're moving forward and getting this project underway. September 25th, 2025, I should say, asbestos abatement was completed and started. October 7th, McKinstry gave a presentation of the first initial floor plans to police administration's former city manager. At that point, vetoed the plans and directed to change the floor plans to include a warehouse within the building. November 21st, more floor plans changes were directed to be made to the design by the former city manager. December 10th, 2025, more floor plan changes to design were directed to be made by the former city manager. And now we're in March of 2026. During that week, the police administration met with representatives from McKinstry to refocus the project's efforts on developing a public safety operations center, Proposed revisions to the floor plans were discussed, aligning to the design that was the original intent of the PSOC, which will house the public safety answering point, the 911 center, as approved by Arizona DPS local border support grant. So basically, we're getting back on lines what these grants were provided for. And then on April of 2026, Police Administration, interim city manager, Mr. Pocken, representatives from one of our communication vendors, Datacom, met with representatives from McKinstry to finalize efforts related to development of the Public Safety Operations Center, PSOC. This meeting focused on finalizing the facilities, floor plan, operational and technical requirements that had not been addressed, and points of emphasis addressing upcoming project deadlines. So at this point, that's where we're at. I'm able to answer any questions.
Go ahead, Mr. Doe.
These setbacks or change of plans are how far did they set back the project?
Possibly, I would say between 10 to 12 months.
And all these change orders were made by the former city manager?
Well, what he did is he basically asked for changes to be done on the floor plans, which McKinstry followed direction and went back to the drawing board and provided new plans, and then another set of plans, and then eventually another set of plans, which not only included a delay, but also incurring cost.
I'm thinking this is more law enforcement, and that's going to bring in, it's a communication center, and the issues here have to do more with input maybe from your department or even the state department, the Arizona, or law enforcement groups, or somebody that would give a little more expertise on the matter than local, somebody that has never had any experience with it. I don't know how much experience McKinsey as a builder has. I know they're doing a bank building, but this is totally different. And I thought that we were getting rid of the change orders because one of the road construction companies was always setting. But anyway, why all these change orders from somebody that seems like they didn't know what they were doing?
You know, Mr. Doyle, I cannot answer that because we were excluded from a lot of these meetings. And when these ideas and changes occurred, I do know that, you know, we were more than ready and available to provide any information as needed, and as well as we did have initially set up a small committee that included, you know, the police department, city administration, and our contractors that were all going to be part of this group to make decisions and move forward as a group. But that did not occur. And I mean, we're here now.
But are we on the right track now?
Yes, sir. We met with McKinstry, like I said, the last time was in April, and they are going to be providing the final floor plans for council approval. I know it's an agenda item down in the agenda here, but yeah, we're on the right track now. We just have to play a lot of catch up and move as quickly as possible because we do have some deadlines to meet.
Thank you.
What is your
Mr. Mayor?
The deadline for the $2.7 million grant is June of 2027. It was June of 2026. And the deadline for the 10.7 million is actually December of 2026. But a majority of that infrastructure has occurred, like I mentioned, on the sites. Now it's really basically focused on the 911 center once that building is able to house that center, and the communication project will jump into there and get it done by December 2026. But I know there's a 6-month window after that will allow us to put that into play. So we're okay as far as if we proceed as we have planned.
Thank you. Mr. Parker, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of thoughts on where we are at the present time and how we got here. This is actually my second PSOC in the last 5 years. We did one in the county next door about 5 years ago. When I came on board here, I got together with McKinstry and with the chief and his folks to look at where we were, because there was still some question as to what your final product was going to be. A couple things that occurred to me with the use that had received all the grants and the use that was being proposed in addition to that are not compatible uses, okay, for a variety of reasons. One is security, one is noise, one is interaction between people in the same building. It really needed to focus on the public safety aspect. Secondly, there's a real good opportunity here for other agencies in Santa Cruz County to come into our center for communications. And so this has a very realistic opportunity over time to become more of a regional center than just a Nogales center. And lastly, I held the chief's feet to the fire to make sure that between the 2 grants that he received and the match that we're providing, stay within the original budget. And so far, that's where we are. So we don't expect to be coming back to you in 6 months for a whole lot more money.
Okay. Thank you.
I don't have to be. I've never broken that promise. Okay.
And it is on the agenda, gentlemen and ladies, discussion items to move forward. Correct? Thank you, Chief. Next item is item C, half marathon post event. Gardo and Melissa.
First of all, want to say thank you for having us again. Today I don't have a script. We're here just to say thank you for the support. I know it was a little bit difficult for you because you already changed policies, or I'm not a politician, but I know it was a little bit hard decision. But hopefully this past 2 weeks you were able to attend. I know the mayor was there, and it was a beautiful event once again, the 5th edition, that we learned lots of things, and we want to let you know, in name of all my representing all the members from Cero Estrés and volunteers, around 50 volunteers that give their time to put this beautiful event together. We want to be prepared again for next year. So once again, thank you very much. And I invite you to see this beautiful video that we put together. And it's a TikTok video, but so hopefully you can enjoy it. El Nogales Medio Maratón y Feria de la Salud 2026 ya es parte de nuestra historia. Nos vemos en la próxima meta. Sigamos moviéndonos juntos. So, some points there. So again, I want to say thank you to all the city of Nogales departments, public works, that we gather 2 weeks or a week before the event. The Nogales Police Department, they also, very, they reach out to us. We gather again to plan everything and mostly to receive people from out of town, make them feel safe and also enjoy our city. When what better to do a half marathon. So once again, thank you. And with me is Melissa Gallegos, our program director, that will present you a couple of things and say a few words in Spanish.
Muchísimas gracias nuevamente. Quiero agradecer también, Mayor y City Council, todas las atenciones. Mayor, gracias por ayudarnos a resolver el problema que tuvimos de último momento. También quiero agradecer a City Clerk. Miguel, muchísimas gracias por todo el apoyo que nos brindaste durante todo este evento. Y Public Work, muchísimas gracias por todo lo que nos apoyaron también. Entonces les traemos un pequeño detalle con mucho cariño.
Gracias.
Un pequeño reconocimiento para Public Works. Se lo puedes llegar, por favor.
Thanks.
Muchísimas gracias.
Gracias a ustedes.
Thank you, Melissa. Perdón. No, está bien, está bien. I want to thank Cero Tres for all your hard work. I know it was very intense. We had some details, unexpected details, parking issues, the train, record, an hour 46 minutes stopped the tracks completely. So there was some challenges. Hey, we could only try to fix them when we have them, but we can't prepare for those issues. But I want to thank everybody. Public Works, Parks and Rec, police, everybody, paramedics, the fire. I know we had one issue with one participant falling down, but and everybody, council, thank you for your support, because it takes the whole team and your staff and everybody to make this a successful event. So thank you for all you do. Next, we move to financial report.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Today I bring to you the March 2026 financial report. It focuses on the general fund, HER fund, overweight fees, and our 3 enterprise funds, which is sewer, water, and sanitation. At this time for March, the revenue should be above 75%, and expenditure should be at or below 75% during this 9 months for March. In Table A, we have the general fund. The revenues total are $23,402,506, which is 81.7%. The expenditures total $22,799,482, which is 52.5%. General fund revenues exceed expenditures by 603,024 year to date. The revenues are 1.9 million above the year-to-date budget, and expenditures are 9,764,413 below the year-to-date expenditure, which is good. In Table B, we have the sales tax. In March, we got 1,696,764, which is 255,996 lower than March of last year. And we're at 701,137 below the same point last year. For the general fund expenditures and departments, as of March, spending is at 52.5% of the budget, which is below 75% straight line benchmark. All the departments are below the 75% threshold. For the HERF and overweight funds, the revenues for HERF are 2,459,975, which is 84.5%. Expenditures total 1,673,454, which is at 49.8%. Revenues exceed expenditures by 786,521 year to date. Revenues are 277,277 above the year to date budget, and expenditures are 848,200 below the year to date. For overweight fees, revenues total 277,172, which is at 92.4% of the budget. Expenditures total 67,483, which is 7.3% of the budget. Revenues exceed expenditures by 209,689 year to date. The revenues are 52,172 above the year to date budget, and expenditures are 621,127 below. Now to the enterprise funds. For sewer, revenues total 3,039,238, which is 92.9% of the budget. Expenditures total 1,617,554, which is 45.7% of the budget. Revenues exceed expenditures by 1,421,684. Revenues are 586,588 above the year-to-date budget, and expenditures are 1,224,944 below the year-to-date budget. Water fund revenues total 2,607,743, which is 77.6% of the budget. Expenditures total 2,637,820, which is 63.3%. Expenditures exceed revenues by 30,077 year to date. Revenues are 87,293 above the year to date budget, and expenditures are 487,598 below the year to date budget. Although the water fund shows slightly higher expenditures than the revenues at this point, both revenues and expenditures are tracking better than the respective year-to-date budgets. For sanitation fund, the revenues total 2,363,405, which is 84.3% of the budget. Expenditures total 2,336,471, which is 62.1%. Revenues exceed expenditures by 26,934 year to date. Revenues are 259,655 above year to date, and expenditures are 483,954 below the year to date. In April, for business licenses, we had 2,946 active business licenses, 18 new licenses. 4 licenses were canceled or suspended, and there was no special event one-day licenses. And that concludes the March financial report.
Question?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Sergio, just one quick question. Thank you for supplying the check register to the members of the council. I don't want to be micromanaging, but I just looked at something that caught my attention. Is we made a check out to Oasis Theater for $3,800, something like that.
I don't know what the expense was for. If I don't recall, it's a police event. I think for there, but if you want.
That's a lot of movies.
Okay, Mayor, if I may,
Go ahead, sir.
Councilman. We receive donations throughout the year from different entities, and this is for their graduation, and it's used for paying for the entry and a small snack for all the participants from all the local schools that we provided their program. And this funding that we use this year originated from the White Elephant from the Green Valley area. And the fees, like I said, were to pay for this children's entrance, and they get a little snack pack.
All right, thank you. Thank you for doing that too.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sergio. Council, I want to bring up Mr. Hector Hinojosa. Had called that he was going to be doing a call to the public. It's our choice if we could allow him. He's here. If not, we could push him to Monday. But would you agree? Go ahead. It's call to the public. So we'll go.
3 minutes.
So, 3 minutos, amigo. Presentar. Okay, go ahead. Thank you.
Good evening, City Council. You know, I've never been here before, but I think this matter is pretty important. I'm a resident of Meadow Hills. I live on 3253 North Sioux Drive. I couldn't print this 10 times, so whoever would like to grab a copy and maybe share it. So basically, this is a matter as a father of two, right? Back in August of 2025, there was an incident in my house where I was doing a little bit of landscape renovation, and one of the city employees, without any authorization, without any permission, without even making himself get noticed or knocking on the door or anything, decided to walk into my backyard. It's a fenced yard. Walked throughout the entire property, took pictures. When I tried to confront him, not him specifically, I went to his supervisor. Back in the day, it was Hector Tapia. Didn't do anything about it. Went around the subject. I was building a 2-foot wall, 2-foot high wall, and putting some pavers, basically. I tried reaching out to other members of the city and still got no answer. I tried making a formal complaint, no action on it. You know, I just don't feel that it's fair for us to go through a violation of our Fourth Amendment. You know, privacy is something very serious, especially when I'm outside of my house and my wife is alone with my 2-year-old. You know, I feel a little. I feel like there's not enough things that we can do to feel safe, even in our home. You know, if you go to page 28 on those copies, you can see that this inspector went into my house without wearing a uniform, without wearing any proper identification. He looks exactly like a Mexican cartel personnel. I mean, I know it sounds like a joke, but if you look at him, that's exactly what he looks like. So, why am I concerned about this? Because, you know, the safety of our families, our privacy, not having any response to something like this, you know, it shouldn't be happening any day of the week. What do I want out of this? I want proper education to the people that work for the city. Some kind of rules that make them, you know, always be presentable with their uniforms and whatever IDs, you know, protocols where they need to knock on the door. They shouldn't be able to walk into somebody's house just like that. I even requested for a report on the supposed complaint that they had upon what I was doing. Never got that. What else? I'm a little nervous because I've never been in front of such elegant personnel here, but I know the identity of the inspector, and I still see him driving around. I just don't think that that's fit for a city like this. So I would like to have this on record officially. I would like to set up a formal complaint against the inspector and whoever I have to do it, you know. I don't know what else to do according to, you know, this subject. That's
Mayor, if I could, since we're allowed to address criticisms, I
Go
would
ahead, sir.
just like to point out some key issues here. You met with me, correct?
yes, I did.
And we initiated an investigation, correct? And you were contacted by Rodney States with the city attorney's office.
That is correct.
And questioned, investigated. So the city did look into this issue, correct?
That is correct.
So, okay. And there is a report, and I can provide it to council if council would like to see it. But this issue was taken very seriously, and it was looked into, and it was investigated. And I believe Mr. States spent close to 40 hours doing the investigation and doing the interviews on these issues.
In my evidence booklet there, you can see that the gentleman that he's mentioning is there, and because I told him, hey, be aware that I have cameras, you're gonna sit here so that you're gonna record me, I'm gonna record you. So yes, somebody went there and investigated, did a little bit of investigation. He took pictures of the property, took pictures of everything that, you know, where the gentleman, the inspector walked in. Then again, yeah, he did a little bit of investigation, yet there hasn't been any results, and that cannot be tolerated. You know, it's still a violation of my rights. And I don't know who else got that violation, you know? Things like this should have consequences. You don't think so? I think so. And the person that you're mentioning is actually on the first page.
Yes, that's Rodney States.
Correct.
He
called me from the city of Nogales. He investigated. I never got a report. My complaint is not on him. My complaint is on the city employee. He shouldn't be driving around. He shouldn't be working for the city anymore. It's not that I wanna do him any harm, but we need people that are capable of doing a job the correct way, right?
And we can discuss this again, and you're more than welcome to come to my office. But when you came into my office, I asked you what you wanted out of this, and you said what you said tonight.
The same thing that I'm saying right now.
You wanted to make sure that this didn't happen again, and that there was going to be education, properly trained.
Correct.
And all of those issues have been addressed.
I have no proof that they have been addressed.
Okay, but you haven't followed up with my office either, have you?
You haven't followed up with me either.
Okay, and that's
I followed up with Kramer, and now he's gone.
I can't. I'm not responsible. I can't help what other people may or may not do. But we spent a significant amount of time doing the investigation.
I'm not aware of that.
Okay, you were, because Mr. States met with you and you had his contact information.
He said I don't have his contact information. I
will
have his
provide that
contact
to you
information.
again, but he did provide that to you.
He did not provide that to me.
So yes. But again, we took this very, very serious, and I take it very serious. And
I appreciate it, but on your end, I appreciate it on your end, but I just still feel that, you know, that it's unless there's some kind of official response to this could happen to anybody else still, because he's still employed by the city. He hasn't had any serious consequences. I mean, I don't think that this is something to take slightly. Yes, there was an investigation, like it should be. There should be an investigation every time something like this happens.
I totally understand, but when you made your comments, you stated to the council that nothing had been done, that nobody had responded, that nothing was done. I just wanted to be very clear that yes, this was looked at, this was investigated. It is a
It's in
personnel matter. Those things are not made public. But if you would like some details, we can meet and I can go over the issues with you. Yes,
Well, that's
absolutely.
That's a good start. That's a good start. If I neglected to mention that there was an investigation that got done, I'm sorry, but it's in the booklet. You know, I'm a little nervous. I've never been in front of so many people talking publicly on this matter. You know, if I didn't think that it was too serious, I wouldn't be here. When I was in your office, I told you, hey, I want this just to get resolved as quickly and quietly as possible. I don't want this to happen to anybody again. Did I not say that?
And I took it very seriously, and we started the investigation, and that's why we went that route, and that's why Mr. States met with you. That's why he investigated it. That's why he met with your landscapers, the individuals who were involved.
Correct.
He did, I want to say, 10 or 15 interviews.
May I ask you something? What was the result of that investigation?
Like I said, I can talk to you about that. We don't share employee investigations in a public setting like this, but if you wanted follow-up or additional information, you had my contact information. We met, we talked. I mean, and I'm not saying that it's not improper for you to come to council and express your concerns and stuff. I just want it to be very clear that these issues were looked at, they were investigated, actions were taken, there were consequences.
Okay. I was sitting blind. I was not aware that there were any consequences. That's the reason why I'm here with all the evidence. I still hold on to every single email that I exchanged, especially that something that kind of made it a little bit, escalate a little bit was the fact that I started another thing at the same property, and there were certain things where certain process weren't kind of advancing. I don't know if I'm making myself clear. And I figured that this had something to do with it.
Yeah, and again, we can talk about that, but we're at the call of the public. I just wanted to respond to the criticism issue that no action was taken. But again, we can have that conversation, and you're more than welcome to set up another appointment. So, but we can't get into too much detail here at the call of the public.
I hear it. I understand.
Thank you for bringing it up, and let's just follow up with legal, and
I'll set up an appointment with you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Estes. Thank you, Council. Next, we move to number 7, liquor licenses. A, consideration possible action on liquor license number 2026-9, consideration of the recommendation to approve an insurance of a special event liquor license submitted by Reverend Jorge Ricardo Farias on behalf of Sacred Heart of Jesus Roman Catholic Parish for the Dad Mom Son Daughter Dance event scheduled on May 29, 2026 from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. B, consideration possible action on liquor license number 2026-10, consideration of the recommendation to approve the insurance of a special event liquor license submitted by Francisco Sanchez on behalf of the city of Nogales for the 4th of July event scheduled on 4th of July 2026 from 4 p.m. to 12 a.m.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mayor,
Go ahead.
Question on this. This liquor license for the 4th of July, it's either for police or fire, right?
Yeah, that's correct, right? It's got to be
Previously, it's always been the revenue department that requests.
Oh, okay.
Who's requesting it?
Revenue manager. So the previous revenue sorry, previous revenue manager would put the order in, same as Francisco is.
Okay,
the
so
revenue
this
manager.
is for
Yeah, it's
okay.
normal.
Yeah, one of the other operations. Who's this here, Mr. Jimenez? But whose turn is it to do the beer sale at the 4th of July? Fire or chief or police? Okay.
But it's always been either for police or fire. Why are we deviating from that?
When did that change? As far as I know, it's always been either police or fire.
No, that's never been that way. It's either police or fire, and
Yes, sir, Mr. Dow. Turn on your mic.
Who changed that?
We don't know. We'll work it out. We do have to approve it, but the definition of the beneficiary of who's going to do the sales, we'll work it out, Mr. Hogan. Okay.
thank you.
All right. So all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. C, consideration and possible action of liquor license number 2026-11. Consideration of the recommendation to approve an insurance of a special event liquor license submitted by Reverend Jorge Ricardo Farias on behalf of Sacred Heart of Jesus Roman Catholic Parish for the Segunda Noche de Recuerdos con los Absents event special scheduled for June 13, 2026 from 6 p.m. to 12 a.m. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Next, we'll move to discussion items. Number 8, A, discussion and possible action approval of changes in scope of the PSOC remodeling project. Old Armory, Mr. Jimenez, come on down.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor, if I may,
Go ahead, sir.
there's been a change order submitted, and it ties into my earlier presentation that involved the timeline. McKinstry has entered a change order in the amount of $178,713. And this will include for architectural, structural, and civil work, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing work. And I'm not talking physical work. I'm talking more that is related to their forming of floor plans, and then some construction cost estimating. It also includes construction management, includes travel. There's a section that is highlighted that's performance and payment. And there's a added amount for $52,000 for McKinstry services, which once again totals up to that $178,713.
Mr. Jimenez, on this change order, anybody from McKinsey here?
I know that there was an email that was circulated that involved Mr. Parkin, myself, and the representatives of McKinstry. And I know that they were asked if they wanted to attend, but their response, if I recall, if I'm mistaken, Mr. Parkin, please correct me, saying they could be here if they were so required, or they can do it virtually. But that never came to fruition. So At this point, it's just myself and Mr. Plotkin basically presenting this change order. And like I said, this change order is really the result of the changing that we
Okay.
just explained.
I understand. I talked to Mr. Puckett on this, but my concern, and Mr. Puckett, is okay. I know all the hiccups we had in the past 10 months, and you know, I just want to make sure that we have a guarantee from McKinley that this is going to make it work. This is going to finalize it, and you know, we're not going to come back with change orders again. And you know, to obviously, you know, we got close to $14 million on the line of losing if we don't do it. I understand that, and you know, just have they given us a you know, confirmation guarantee that this is what it's going to take with no more change orders.
Okay, so just to make it clear, change orders are initiated by the owner, not by the contractor. Okay? This change order is a result of the changes that were made in the scope of the project that brought us to the presentation that the chief gave about an hour ago on how we had gone from a PSOC to a PSOC in a warehouse and now back to a PSOC. Okay, so that's the result of the city's request, not the contractor's request. So they basically provided that change order to represent what those changes back would be in scope for the project that was presented to you earlier tonight. Now, as I mentioned before, that figure added to the existing construction agreement still results in coming in within the amount of money that we have to do the project. So you're being asked to change the scope of the project, and that's the price tag. But what you're not being asked to do is to appropriate more money than you already have.
Yes, but you know, I've seen that we've had expenses on the project, you know, where we had quotes for 35,000 and they charged us 90. You know, that I don't think that's right. You know, McKinley was here and very honestly said, we're going to use local. You know, I don't hear that being done. So, you know, that's my questions, you know,
Yeah.
Where are we? But, you know.
Local was discussed at some considerable length at that last meeting we had.
Correct.
And so we're still dedicated to bringing local contractors where they are available and qualified. So
Okay.
that's still part of the scope, if you will.
Okay.
And, you know, I think we're now in a position where you're going to start seeing stuff happening over there like you haven't had for the last year.
Yeah.
We are in a position to move with this approval.
You know, and I'm not in here to get in front of you or
no.
the chief, because you guys are the ones taking care of it. And I just, you know, my main concern is it gets done.
We expected questions, and that's totally appropriate.
Anybody, go ahead, Ms. Parra.
So, Mr. Pocken, just to be clear, the approximate 180,000 is not going to be extra. It's already included in the budget, right?
Right.
Okay.
We're still operating within the approved amounts of money that you've already set.
Yeah, it's extra from what they had quoted.
This request doesn't ask for more money.
Yeah, but okay. Yes, Mr. Doe.
What we don't have a repeat is they're following a pattern here on what we used to have from one of the local companies that we don't hire anymore because they were always having change orders in construction and doing shoddy work, like at the high school. I think Councilman Bonillas would always bring that up. And we don't want companies like this that are always doing change orders, because then they set a pattern. So we need to be a little more firm in that. That's what we're
like I mentioned right at the beginning, change orders are initiated by the owner, not by the contractor.
Yeah, but not, okay.
Yeah.
You know, here it seems like if we follow the history of this, apparently they did some stuff that they didn't have to do that created more expense. So,
Well, fortunately, I wasn't a part of that history.
well, no, I understand that.
That's a joke, John.
But this is what we don't want to, you know, we had talked not only a few months back, maybe 6 to 8 or whatever it was, that we were getting tired of these change orders from this construction outfit. And now they just switched over to a different form, and it's still the same policy. We need to be on top of it, you know, wherever it is.
Absolutely. And Councilmember Doyle, Mayor and Council. So yes, we are staying on top of those issues, and we stayed on top of those with the last project, which isn't something that's part of this agenda item. But the reason this is coming back to council for this request isn't because of what McKinstry did. It's because of okay, we want to go this direction, but then we're changing the direction on McKinstry, and it's causing them to do extra work to do that. And we're trying to bring this back and get it back to the right path to where it is what was the intended project, and keeping that going. But yes, absolutely, we are staying on top of those issues and those concerns. We know that council is very concerned with, you know, contractors coming in and thinking they have an open checkbook, and that's not the case. This is a completely different situation here, where the city has, you know, we're going this way. No, we want to go this way. Now we got to come back this way.
It wasn't the chief.
Yeah, it was totally the chief's fault.
No. I just want to clarify.
I didn't say that. I just said this city.
Otherwise, you're going to have to cuff him and keep him right on it.
He's going to cuff me after that comment.
No, I just want to clarify that.
Yes.
That you had nothing to do with the change order or the.
No, sir, and nobody here that's present.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Mayor, I have a comment. So one of the things that caught my attention with all this issue is that everyone but the person indicated to input was placed to the side, was set aside. And so I can see how this got out of control. It got out of hand and we fell behind. But it was interesting to see that that the people that knew what the project entailed were set aside. Their input was not valued. And so now this is where we're at, and I'm glad, Chief, that you have taken us and on tour of that building. I think it's a great project, and I commend you for educating us and bringing this back to where it's supposed to be, because we were supposed to be ribbon cutting in June, and that's not going to happen. It's going to happen until next year, but it is interesting this is where we're at. Not your fault, but it was interesting to see how people that are not law enforcement were making these decisions, and at the end we had to go back and have a new design. So thank you, Chief, for that.
Thank you, Mr. Padilla. Any more discussion? Well, that's it. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? You got the
Thank you.
amount correct? Yes, sir.
Hey, sure, do you need it?
Please. Thank you. Next, we move to item B. Thank you, Chief.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Let's get it done. Thank you. Next, B, discussion possible action to consider donation and/or loan of equipment to support an emergency medical technician EMT certification program. Mr. Lucero and Mr. Lariva. Chief.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name's Greg Lucero. I'm the CEO for the Santa Cruz County Provincial Community College. Thank you for allowing me to speak to you this evening on this topic. it was also an honor to meet with an old friend, Mr. Palkin. I call him Mr. because he's older than me, so out of respect. So had a lot of catching up to do. We were sharing old war stories, and you guys are in good hands with Steve. So what I want to do is give you a little bit of background on what we're doing at the community college, which will lead into this whole EMT program. We've been moving at the college towards workforce development training program. So it was started because South 32, they started last August with the implementation of an electrician certification program. They invested about $470,000 into equipment and scholarships for the students. So it's 100% paid for by South 32. It was a 3-semester program. They're going to graduate in August, 16 students. They next wanted us to introduce an industrial instrumentation, an automated industrial technician program. That's going to be about another $450,000 investment by South 32. That's going to be for 10 students, and that's going to be a 2-semester program. I went back to Pima College, who is our service provider, and I said, give us a proposal to do a medical assistant training program, an EMT training program, and a plumbing certification program. They came back and gave us proposals, and in the meantime, South 32 said, why don't we do another electrician certification program? So that's also going to start up again this fall. So we're looking at all these programs to start this fall. So we'll have another electrician certification program. The cost for that program to South 32 is going to be roughly about $80,000. The medical assistant training program, that's going to cost us about $100,000. But we are looking at a rural health grant, and indications are that we're probably going to get it, so it should offset a lot of that cost. Part of that grant will also go to offset some of the EMT costs, which we're looking at. The biggest cost is going to be equipment, and in Pima College's proposal, they were looking at all new equipment, and it was estimated to be somewhere in the range of about $200,000. We had a meeting, myself, the fire chief, NUSD, Santa Cruz County at work to look at how we could kind of cut down that equipment cost. And the chief said, hey, we're in the process of auctioning off a lot of equipment that could be used for this program. And he said, Greg, you need to get before mayor and council and ask them to make this donation. So I quickly wrote a letter to your city clerk and said, how do I get this done? And he says, this is what you need to do. And that's what got me to this point. So I gave the equipment list that Pima College gave me to the fire chief and said, I don't know what's being auctioned off. You're the best person to tell us or the council what could be donated. So all I'm here to do is say whatever you guys could donate to us to offset this cost would be greatly appreciated. And I'll be happy to answer any questions after the chief talks.
Chief, do you have a list? Or?
Yeah, we kind of submitted that list on that letter, which is in your agenda package. The biggest thing the only thing that's going to auction would be that ambulance. So the ambulance is kind of an out-of-service ambulance that's not useful anymore within the Nogales Fire Department.
Didn't we have 2 that we never used?
We had 2. We auctioned one off last year, which that data has been supplied as well. But this year would be one, which is the second one that was never used, and it ran through its life expectancy. It's out of service. It's sitting at the fleet department now waiting for auction. That's a prop that would be able to be very useful and offset a bunch of costs that the program would need to give them a real life experience in that classroom. The other items that we're considering donating that go to waste is basically the supplies that expire before they're used. And that stuff goes to the garbage. So we use it as internal training on ourselves, but as far as the classroom setting, it would be instrumental for them to be able to use expired equipment, not on a live patient, nothing that's qualified to use on the field, but it would go to a use for training. And that supplied list is also in that letter there. And that's going to be an ongoing availability as they expire and they're not being used. Our inventory is pretty managed and we're pretty down to the T that we don't have too much extra, but in a good day, we have less calls, and that stuff kind of expires. So it's a fantastic opportunity to put it to some use.
Yes, thank you for bringing it up. Are we putting a little hook on the students must come and work at Nogales EMT, like to get the training? Are we doing any scholarships with them, or how's it being worked?
There's a couple things that there are a few things that are going on. How this whole thing kind of got started was the CTE director for Nogales Unified had sort of brought us together because they are tapping into Arizona at Work dollars for youth. And so the discussion is they can use this funding for up to age 24. But I said, well, if we move this program into the college, we can also look at adult learners and go above the age 24. So it'll be a combination of Arizona at Work dollars along with other funding. So obviously our goal is to reduce whatever impact to students, and we'll look at all funds possible to do that. And it's kind of unique that you see governments actually working together instead of opposed to each other. So, this partnership is going to be ourselves, fire, hopefully PD. We're working with the sheriff's office, Arizona at Work from the county, and Mariposa Clinic is also interested in participating in this program because a lot of their medical staff want to be EMT certified. So we're trying to create an environment where everybody in the region can come into a training center. So that's our goal.
Well, I appreciate for you guys taking the time and getting together and all that, and I hope we continue. I wish we could bring that CPR certifications and all that to the community. The more community members that we have certified for CPR and first aid and all that makes us a safer community. Thank you. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I just had a quick question for Chief. How much did that ambulance that you sold at auction sell for last year?
I believe it's over 800.
Ambulances, I'm kind of an auction expert. I have an auction addiction. Everybody knows.
That's on dollars, right?
Yeah, $800, yes. I'll drive across country for auction purchases, and used ambulances don't sell for much at auction. This is a great opportunity to be able to provide that collaboration, and there are no gift and loan clause issues because it's from one government entity to another government entity. So, and I've got, speaking of auctions, I've got a case of 10,000 expired face masks that I can bring down if you want those for your program as well. Because those kind of things go unused and they end up at auctions. And I won't talk about the auction purchase that I bought from Nogales at a online city auction that went for pennies on the dollar. But this is a great reuse for that type of equipment.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, go ahead, Mr. Puckett.
Yes, thank you. Just a couple of additional comments. This is a really good thing for Nogales and Santa Cruz County. As you know, Greg's been standing up a provisional college here where there wasn't one. And because there are like 13 other community colleges in the state of Arizona, almost all of them have been picking up these kinds of programs for public safety training. I think you all can remember a few years back, you were probably sending police recruits to all different kinds of places around the state of Arizona, costing you thousands of dollars just to facilitate their education. And now, we have paramedic programs close by, hopefully someday here. And what makes them go and what keeps the price low is what Greg is asking for tonight, because over in my county we've been donating, because we've got both a police training academy and a fire academy there, and it keeps our costs for training very low by donating equipment just like what we're talking about here tonight. Greg, thank you for coming up with that. And I think this is just the beginning of some bigger things.
And the other thing to point out is it reduces the cost to the students and the families of Nogales. So instead of having to send folks up north or over to Cochise County, they can stay here.
Yes. Thank you. Go ahead, Mr. Dahl. Turn on your mic, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to make a motion to approve this agenda item to donate the equipment to support the EMT certification program.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Item C, discussion and possible action, consideration of in-kind support for American Legion Post 23 for Veterans Day Parade event to be held on November 11th, 2026 from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. American Legion. Go ahead, Ms. Parra.
I put in for the in-kind request for Veterans Day. We had last year over 300 people for our event. So that's what I'm requesting. 300 people plus.
Mr. Dahl, you have a question?
No, I'd like to make a motion to approve. Like to make a motion to approve these this in-kind donation.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Mr. Bonilla.
There's two agenda items here. One is for 1,800 in kind, and on the next one it's for another, I guess, 1,000, 1,800 also. We in the past this event has been done by the VFW. Am I correct?
Not last year. Last year was supported by the city.
Was it supported by the city?
It was supported by the city because it's an American holiday.
Yeah, well, I know, but why do we have VFW and then the American Legion here asking for in-kind for the same?
Because we're two different entities. The VFW has their own post and the American Legion, we have our own.
But I never recall having two entities doing this event. I don't ever recall the city or two separate entities. From what I remember, it was either or VFW or American Legion. Now we have both. So the in-kind is doubled.
Councilman Bonilla, yes, last year we did fund separately the American Legion and the VFW. I think they got $1,500 each.
Mm-hmm.
Because they held the VFW held an event up at the VFW hall, and the American Legion held a separate.
So for clarification, this was not a City of Nogales event then?
I'm sorry?
It's an American holiday for all of the
I
public,
understand,
for
but
all the
is
citizens of Nogales, Arizona,
But I need
and whoever comes
clarification
from
in
Tubac and
knowing
so
if
forth.
this is an actual city. You just said it was a City of Nogales event. So is it or is it not a city?
It's an American holiday for all
Okay,
the
so I
public.
guess that's a no.
No, because you didn't let me speak. Are you not aware what Veterans Day?
No, I am aware perfectly fine, but I just don't ever remember having both entities for this one
Well,
event.
before you cut off Mr. Bojorquez, he was explaining that last year the VFW held their event.
Yes,
We held ours.
I understand. So we're still going above our threshold anyways.
If you look closely, for Memorial Day, it's under the threshold. Okay.
So we're on the
Memorial
Veterans
Day, we don't get as many people as we do on Veterans Day. On Veterans, like I said, we had over 300 people because all the public schools and everyone's invited. We have a lot more people on Veterans Day. On Memorial Day, we have maybe 200, 150, but we still have an event for, celebration of life on Memorial Day. and everyone is invited to that. So wipe the smirk off your face.
Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
You know, we do in-kind support for a lot of entities here in Nogales, and it's only fair that we treat our veterans the same way. You know, they deserve to be supported by the community, and we've done it before, and I don't see a problem with that.
So who's going to, the event that you have on Veterans Day, the VFW is going to do the food?
Yes.
We're talking on the Memorial Day right now.
Oh, okay.
Oh, excuse me. Veterans Parade, sorry.
Yeah, we're
about that.
Veterans Day right now.
And Memorial. Go ahead, right?
Councilmember Parada, do you know who did the submission and calculated out the $1,800?
Based on what we spent last year on food and sodas and water and everything that was free for the public, we were under $300 and some. So that's why we had to go up a little higher than $1,500 because it wasn't enough to.
So the confusion, Councilwoman Parada, is it, there's two agenda items, and one is for the American Legion, then there's another one for the VFW. So is it one 1,800 and then plus another 1,800? Is that the way it might, just so
That's
that I
correct.
understand this correctly?
That's correct.
If I understand well, the commander from the VFW submitted the one for the VFW, and Councilwoman Parada submitted the one for American Legion. So, you know, if I think the VFW one is coming up, the commander of the VFW is here present.
So, but I guess the question is are you asking for an $1,800 financial contribution, or you're asking for the podium speakers, the in-kind?
Both the in-kind and the financial support.
So maybe if we could separate these out, and because the Veterans Day event's not until November. So if we could probably bring that back with some clarification as to what's being specifically asked for with regard to the in-kind contribution, because I don't think that there's $1,800 worth in, you know, podium speakers, microphones, chairs, and stuff like that.
I don't think it's that high.
So so if we could just do that, clarify that, and then just go forward with the approval for the Memorial Day service.
Okay.
And then I think that would clear up some of
I think
the
big question, Mr. S, is it's both events, and I got no problem supporting both events. However, they're asking for 1,800, which is normally, you know, was normally, as far as I knew, it was alternated, that one entity would do it 1 year, another entity would do it another year. But they're asking for the same amount for the event to happen at the same hour, at the same hall, and everything. I think that's Mr. Bonilla's question.
Right, and I think that's why we've got plenty of time to bring the November one back, so we can get that clarification and make sure that everybody understands what the event's being, what the in-kind contributions are for, and stuff like that, just so there's not any, you know, concern over, you know, the amounts and stuff, because council set the $1,500 in-kind contribution amount. But that way we can ferret that out, because I think the city definitely wants to support the Memorial Day service and the Veterans Day service. It's just a matter of getting those clarifications as to what that amount was estimated off of.
So then I'll put the Veterans Day in October for the in-kind and such.
And it could be, June or July, Ms. Parra,
We don't have to wait.
We'll have to October, so would you table C and D, which is the veterans?
Mr. Mayor, is there a motion?
I make a motion to table.
Wait, there's a motion
Oh,
on the
okay.
floor. Who-
Ms. Parra?
Councilman Doyle?
Uh-huh.
Well, I'm noticing a lot of confusion. I don't know if
So, Mr. Doyle,
one to the other.
we're talking about tabling and clarifying C and D.
American Legion,
We were on C.
but now you.
Yeah, but basically D is the same. So would you withdraw your motion?
Now I don't know what the motion really.
Okay, I want to table it for the in-kinds that we
But
requested in November.
He needs to withdraw his motion first.
Yes, we have a motion and a second on the table, so before we do anything,
You got to withdraw your motion.
are you going to withdraw the motion? Motion till we get clarification.
You'll withdraw your motion.
So the motion's withdrawn. So, okay, so now we can get some
Motion
clarification.
to
as
table.
Let's do one item at a time. So we're at
C?
8C, and that's for the Veterans Day. So then there would be a motion to table that to the next meeting.
I make a motion to table it till the next meeting.
8C. Okay, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Now, Ms. Parra, D?
And the same thing,
Uh-huh.
8D. Okay. So,
The same thing with D.
so motion by Councilmember Parada at the table. Is there a second? Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Both C and D are tabled. Now we go to E. Discussion and possible action consideration of in-kind for American Legion Post 23 for the Memorial Day Services event to be held May 25th, starting at 10 a.m.
Now I make a motion to pass this.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Ms.
On this,
Menendez.
it's the request is 2,000 in total.
Two different, no, there's two
Wait.
different requests. They're considered separately. They're two different agenda items.
Okay.
We're just talking about, yeah.
We're just on E with regard to the request from the American Legion Post 23.
Yes.
Okay. So you made a motion?
Motion.
Second
Mr.
it.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I heard four ayes.
Did everybody vote?
No, I guess right. Well, yeah, I.
You're an aye, Mr. Dahl?
If they don't vote, it's still
Maybe I have to
yes.
turn my feet there.
Okay. All opposed? Motion passes. Item F, discussion possible action consideration of in-kind support for VF Post 2066 for the Memorial Day Services event being held on May 25th, 2026, starting at 10 a.m.
Second.
Any discussion?
Just have a question.
Go ahead, sir.
And again, it's just the way these things were written up. What is this $1,000? And it says here at the Nogales Cemetery. So what is, because you asked for it on the previous agenda item for a certain amount, but what are these additional $1,000, Councilmember Parada?
For the memorial service, and for afterwards, we're going to have a celebration of life.
At the VFW?
Yes, we are going to have it at the VFW. And the reason is we were different entities, but they welcomed us to use their hall because the American Legion, we usually have it at Hohokam outside. So we're having it indoors.
Go ahead, Mr. Dow.
Mike. I thought one event was for now, Memorial Day, no? And then the next one is the one that's going to be brought later. It was tabled. Okay.
We tabled veterans.
And
There's 4 separate agenda items. There were 2 separate items for the Veterans Day that were tabled. And now we're on the 2 items. There was one for the American Legion for Memorial Day, and there's a separate one for the VFW for Memorial Day. And so we're on the second one, which is the VFW request for in-kind, or sorry, the American Legion, the VFW in-kind for Memorial Day. That's what's on the table. That's the motion and the second, and the discussion.
My question is, sir, on the request, it says, from the VFW for the memorial event on the 25th at 10 a.m. at the cemetery. Correct? 100 people, $1,000 in kind. Correct?
Correct.
Now here they're saying it's not going to be at the cemetery. It's going to be at another place. I think the request is not correct.
Okay, it is, Mayor, if I can interject. The American Legion is requesting the chairs,
That one was approved already, Vice Mayor.
Yeah, okay, so the VFW, they're just asking for the funding for the food, and they're not requesting any chairs or canopies or anything like that, because they're going to share the same equipment at the cemetery with the American Legion.
So I think what you have is you have an activity that's going to be starting at the cemetery,
right,
and then it's going to conclude at the VFW hall.
Yes, sir.
So it's going to be in 2 locations.
Correct.
So we can address that as long as council understands that that's clear. Both organizations are working together for the Memorial Day service that has 2 parts. One part's going to be at the cemetery, and then the second part's going to be at the VFW hall.
Yes.
And that's what this second one is for the financial support for the.
And I understand that, Mr. S. I just, let's make sure we get these in-kind events, applications like we've had before, corrected, and with the correct notification that it's not going to be at the cemetery, that it's going to be at the VFW hall and all that.
Yes, and I think we can do a better job with doing a more detailed application for in-kind support and stuff like that. So
I have a question for legal, Mayor, if I may. This is for legal. Because this is campaign season, and there are certain rules that candidates have to run by. So the request here is by Mr. Reese. He is running for mayor. So is it okay to because he is a candidate?
That has nothing to do with the request.
Well, I'm asking.
Shouldn't be addressing that. Raising that question kind of makes it more of a political.
Well, I need to know because that's I'm asking the question.
Yes, no, that has nothing.
If it doesn't have anything to do, then it doesn't.
It has nothing to do with the political campaign. It has nothing to do with the election. So that wouldn't be an issue. That just because somebody may be running for a position doesn't mean that they lose the ability or don't have the ability to do income requests or do other activities and things during the same season. So yes, no issues there from a legal perspective.
And besides, Mr. Estes, Councilwoman Parada is a council member, and she's making the request for American Legion, so I don't see any difference.
But she's not running.
Request was done by Mr. Jose Casares.
Yeah, she's not running. And even if she did it, well, we wouldn't have a problem because she's not running for anything. So that's my question for clarification. That's it.
But one doesn't have to do with the other.
Yeah. Both American Legion requests were done by Mr. Jose Casares. So now we're good. So
You're clear?
Item F, do we have any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. Item D, item G. Mr. Bonilla, you said you were gonna remove this one? Need to read it?
That's correct, Mayor. I
Yeah,
pulled
it
this.
would just read it and then.
So, okay, discussion, possible action, clarification regarding the city planning and zoning, community development and the Nogales Santa Cruz County Chamber of Commerce. Mr. Bonilla?
I want to officially pull this from the agenda.
Any objections? Okay.
Okay. Item G is removed. No,
It doesn't have to have a
doesn't have to go to a vote.
if it's being
H,
pulled by the sponsor.
discussion and possible action of use of personal vehicles during work hours by the city of Nogales directors. Councilman Bonias.
You're going to pull this one? I'm just trying to do my under on the.
We'll get out here by 12.
I said 8:30.
Come on, Mr. Bonilla.
I have a question. This is more for legal. When directors get to use city vehicles, or they're either, I don't know if they're assigned a certain vehicle if you're a director, but my question is, if you're working as a director and you're using your personal vehicle, what if they're involved in an accident or something? Is it okay for them to use their personal vehicle while they are on city time, while they are working?
Let me take a look at the policy. So it states in the policies, employees using their personal vehicles to conduct city business are supposed to be paid mileage and necessary expenses incurred. Personal vehicle used in the conduct of city business must have liability insurance in the minimum amounts, and employees using that's just personal use. So if a position has an assigned vehicle for that position, then that vehicle should be used when that position is out doing city business. So yes, we should avoid and limit the use of personal vehicles for city use during city work days. If there is a vehicle available, assigned vehicle, for example, if the city engineer has an assigned vehicle because he's out and about doing inspections and things, then he should be using the assigned vehicle as opposed to a personal vehicle, because that does avoid the issues of insurance and liability issues. Because if there is an accident, then the question becomes, well, was that individual out doing doing city business, or were they on their own personal time? Different things like that. So to answer the question in short, yes, whether it's a director or any other position, if there is an assigned vehicle for that position, then that assigned vehicle should be used when doing city business during city work hours.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Dodd.
You covered a good point with the insurance liability and all, but that's also goes both ways. If the employee is using his own personal vehicle and he's paying insurance not to be used in work, just for personal, whether it's recreation or driving around town or whatever. I don't know what kind of my insurance company. If you use your own personal vehicle for business, then you got to pay a higher rate for using it for that business. And if somebody like an employee here uses it for the city and has an accident, he's going to be in trouble with his insurance company. I just wanted to mention that so that, in case somebody's doing that, well, be careful, because if they're not aware that not only is it a city issue with insurance, it's also a personal issue with their insurance company.
So, and like I said,
you didn't follow me?
I follow you.
Okay.
There are plenty of times where city employees go and do city business in their own personal vehicles. Just for example, like when you guys go up to a league conference or travel and use your own vehicle, you get paid mileage. and you're going on behalf of the city, but you're using your personal vehicle. So there are times when that does happen, but yes, the employee should know.
Okay, I see that.
There shouldn't be an issue when it's an ancillary.
But you used the example of the engineer driving around the city. That's why it stuck to me. You know, if you're using it for city business,
Right, because in that circumstance, if the engineer has an assigned vehicle and should have an assigned vehicle, those vehicles should be used. But if, for example, somebody has to run over to Staples to buy supplies or something like that and drives their own personal vehicle, that's a, you know, it's not a regular use of a personal vehicle for city business type thing.
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you. Vice Mayor?
Yes, and we can try to avoid, we just had a person here, you know, complaining that there was an employee with no city's insignia on his shirt, and God forbid he shows up in an unmarked car, you know, if I shoot at him.
Okay.
We don't want cartel-looking employees showing up in
Right.
unmarked vehicles and, you know.
Oh,
I think that was
the lawyer.
I think that was Randy. He was calling.
It wasn't me, no, but we've made sure that employees have appropriate uniforms and identification, and so that those things don't happen, and that they're driving city vehicles.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So,
Mr. Mayor.
yes, sir.
Yeah. Just to put a period on the discussion, we will fashion a memo in the next few days and make sure all city employees are aware of the policy. It's a policy that everybody gets when they're employed here, sure. But, you know, after a while, people forget, but we'll remind them.
Thank you, sir.
And Mayor, if I could use one example, Miguel, if I could have permission.
No, he wants a car now.
I know. So for example, I'll use Miguel as an example. Miguel, 90% of the time works from an office, right? Every once in a while, he has to go out and he has to publish the agendas in certain locations throughout the city. That's an ancillary part of his job, but he doesn't have an assigned vehicle because he's not out and about doing city business and needing a vehicle and the cost and expense of a city vehicle. So he uses his personal vehicle to go and do those postings. So that would be an example of an appropriate use of somebody using their personal vehicle because he doesn't have an assigned vehicle, and it's not a position that would require an assigned vehicle, but every once in a while he has to go out for his official duties as the clerk to post those publications. So that's just an example of a circumstance where that would occur.
Okay.
Thank you.
But from now on, he's going to use the mayor's vehicle to go do that, right?
Yep.
Makes sense.
Ooh,
It's on the budget.
open the wound.
Right. Next, we go, item I, discussion and possible action approving partnership between City of Nogales and Clever International Solutions for Economic Development. Mr. Verduzco, thank you for your patience. Préndele ahí, por favor. Turn it on. On the bottom. There you go. Thank you.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, and member of the council. Thank you for the opportunity for me to present tonight. My name is Cesar Verduzco, as many of you already know me. I represent Clever International Solutions, and I'm here to share a proposal designed to move the city's economic development forward. Nogales has always been more than a border city. It's a gateway to the economy, linking two nations, two markets, and thousands of jobs. Tonight, we respectfully request consideration to engage Clever International Solutions as a strategic partner to support the city's economic development objectives. Next slide. There you go. Clever International Solutions partners with cities like Nogales to convert a strategic location into real economic growth. Nogales holds a unique position as a gateway for the North America trade. That position is not only geographic, it's strategic. Clever International Solutions specializes in helping cities convert into strategic position into measurable outcomes, job creations, expanded tax base, and long-term economic resilience. Our approach combines investment attraction, cross-border coordination, and targeted implementation, not just planning, but execution. Our team brings proven binational public sector experience. I provide regional leadership and strategy, supported by years of cross-border collaborations in institutional and private partners. My colleague, Calixto Mateos, former CEO NatBank, brings deep experience in international trade, nearshoring, and cross-border investment. And Roberto de la Hantin ensures discipline, execution, timeless, and accountability. Together, we operate as an extension of the city's economic development capacity. Our vision is clear and results-oriented. We help cities to turn into opportunities into outcomes, moving beyond plans and into execution. Real progress happens when a strategy is executed consistently and measurably effectively. Everything we do is guided by 4 core values: integrity, doing what we commit; innovation, identifying better solutions; sustainability, building the long-term; collaborations, working with a true partnership. Our mission is to provide expert consulting that drives investment, fosters cross-border partnerships, and create lasting impact. Our commitment is accountability through measurable results and strategic growth in the entire binational region. We focus on 4 clear objectives: increase investment, enhance cross-border trade, promote sustainability, and foster binational collaborations, each one direct tied to jobs and revenue and resilience. Our approach integrates innovative strategies to attract investments, streamline cross-border operations, and enhance Nogales' competitiveness. We don't bring theory, we execute. We provide comprehensive consulting services tailored specifically to the unique needs of the city of Nogales, Arizona. No generic solutions, only strategies that fit this region. Nogales is already a critical gateway for North America trade. Like I mentioned before, is access to a skilled bicultural workforce and strong logistic infrastructure. To address the complex economic challenges, we deliver target high-impact solutions from industrial development to corporate relations, economic impact analysis, and government relationship. Our 5 strategic cross-border strategy is to build binational partnerships, business recruitment, sport tourism, education and cultural exchange, and sustainability. Every pillar, as you notice, are really connected to attract investment, job creation, and community revenue growth. We integrate circular economy systems to improve efficiency and resource recovery. At this point, I would like to share a video, if you allow me, the work we have done with other cities. These videos I'm going to present with you is our first microfactory, thanks to the support of the city of Phoenix in the city of Phoenix. I'm going to play this.
I want to thank everybody for coming here this morning to celebrate this monumentous event through Goodwill's retail operations and human services programs. Please welcome.
This partnership was with the university, my client, Arizona, and Goodwill, other my clients.
Before I get into thanking partners, 2 people in the room need very special recognition. A gentleman that made this happen for us, Cesar Verduzco.
This microfactory was all over the news nationwide. It's the first in kind. And we collecting all the waste, the plastic waste from the Goodwill stores, and we making tables for the city and also benches. So we utilizing the same material. I don't want to bore you more with this. So basically, this is a concept. We collect the feedstock, and we convert it to materials. A month ago, I was here, and also a few months ago, I brought a potential client that it currently supplies to Walmart under the brand of Smart. So he's looking into really collaborate with us, with the mayor, to open the first plant here, to do this basic cleaning supplies, that we believe there's a market. And Nogales is a great place to also to do it. We're going to start the pilot, I have to be honest, in the city of Douglas. And we would like to continue with the city of Nogales because we need to meet the demand, and we need the feedstock. And you have the neighbor here, Mexico. They can, we can collect the feedstock, and all the products going to be made here in America with a name brand of Walmart, and to be able to supply that demand. So I'm going to pass this to a few of you. I don't know if the last time you had the opportunity to see this great value brand. It's the Walmart brand. So that's made of all recycled. Give me the bucket and this. So the plan is to bring the manufacturer here and start distributing from here, to make a point of distribution. I'm not going to pass you the bucket because that's even the brushes. All these are made of recycle. Yeah. Also, I took the initiative of to do sport items, collectible, and I'm going to show you the next slide. Oops. Here's another case for one other client that we have, a professional soccer organization in Mexico, los Pumas. Many of you know the Pumas of the university. The president asked us to really do a collectible item, and redo his mascot, a Goyo. He said, "Can you do me the Goyo?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." But I didn't know what was a Goyo, to be honest, in the beginning. I just said, "Yeah, sure," and find out that was a mascot. So we were able to work with them and they developed the marketing plan for them and send the message. I'm going to play a little bit the commercial we made for him.
Cada grito de Goya resuena con fuerza y pasión. La energía de los Pumas une a miles. Pero ¿qué sucede cuando esa pasión se pasa y quedan los residuos? Cada botella, cada envase, cada pedazo de basura representa una oportunidad. Una oportunidad de transformar.
That's me. The pictures.
Y de construir un futuro más sostenible. Gracias a la tecnología, al compromiso de nuestra comunidad y al respaldo de Remexis, el Club Pumas da un paso al frente para convertir lo que antes era desecho.
As you can see, we developed the campaign too, and we designed the mascot. This is specs, but that's the end product that you see in the picture.
Es el reflejo de un compromiso con el planeta. Cada uno cuenta una historia, la historia de un estadio que se une, de una visión que protege, de un equipo que inspira más allá de la cancha.
I just sent in to you some articles that can be done. Many of you probably know.
We can't hear you over the sound.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, this is just an example of what we can be done to for sports items, articles, collectibles. I was lucky enough to be part of this booth, the Lionel Messi booth. It's all made of plastic. Having Lionel Messi as ambassador give you credibility too, or what you only that's Lionel Messi sign, which is a certificate. It's a collectible item. That's his foot, and he designed it.
And it's all made of recyclable.
It's all made of recyclable.
Taking it home today. It's an agenda item. Agenda item.
So I'm just giving you examples what it can be done here.
Thank you. The city clerk will need that for the file.
Need to archive it.
Okay, so oops. Okay, another approach of deliverable that we work in is how they call it, the ashes or the mold that is left in the water. That slush can be converted for pavement for the sidewalks, you know. So that's another item that we're working right now. We talked to the mayor. This approach is strengthen aquifer protection and reduces pressure in critical water resources. It also lowers public works costs by improving material efficiency and reuse. In parallel, it supports local infrastructure development through the production of durable, locally sourced materials. The result is practical environmental and economic improvement integrated into urban development. So, like I said, this slush and ash can be turned into products here. We can take advantage of that and take that stress from the aquifer. And like I say, this resource practical environmental and economic improvement, and it will create jobs. And now we're going to the fun part, sports tourism. I know many cities recognize the power of doing the sports tourism. No? One of the most opportunities for Nogales is the development of our national sports tourism events. We just had almost a month ago an event in Douglas that the mayor had the opportunity to be present. And he witnessed the impact of the event, you know, brought people from Mexico City, from Hermosillo, from Agua Prieta, Cananea, and as well from Las Vegas to Phoenix, El Paso, Texas. So that has an economic impact. The 3 hotels the city of Douglas have, they were sold out. The restaurants were packed. Even I went to a restaurant and I see people saying, we only had tacos dorados and this is the only option from the menu. So they didn't expect it, they turn around. So this is something that really can position, you know, the city of Nogales, because you are a neighbor with Mexico, so we can do more international events. We were thankful that Senator Gallego sponsors us and believe in our project, and he sent a message for our
sorry, I couldn't be there in person.
For our fighters.
All the people who organized this event and all the fighters participating today. When I heard about this event, I just thought, this is awesome, and I'm jealous that I can't be there. Bringing together young boxers from Southern Arizona and Mexico shows what our border communities are really about. No matter which side of the border you're from, we're all connected through our culture. When the fighters step into the ring today, where you're from isn't going to matter. What matters is the work we put in. And more than that, this event shows what's possible when our communities come together and invest in the next generation. That's why I'm very proud that my office is supporting this event. I'm a huge boxing fan myself. I grew up watching all the fights, and I still watch them today. I actually got to see Canelo back in September and met David Benavidez in Phoenix. And growing up, I've been in the ring with my friends too. So I know how important outlets like this are for young men. Boxing pushes you, teaches you discipline, keeps you focused, and gives you something to be proud of. That's exactly what we're all doing for today. And it's awesome to see. I want to give a big shout out to the Clever International and JL Academy for creating this opportunity and giving young people a place to go.
So
I also want to thank Mayor Jose Espinoza for helping.
we also did an event for the city of Phoenix with the previous mayor. You know, he asked us to do the WBC mature event. It was a huge success too. I know my colleague Marco Lopez last week has another event of basketball, huge succeed. 150 kids were impacted, which is, you know, teaches kids discipline and get them out of trouble, out of drugs, creates healthy communities. And this is part of the event that we have in Douglas. It was broadcasted too. I say viewers through the stream.
To Douglas, Arizona. I'm John Ryan, along with
It positions cities, you know, internationally for the sporting fans.
for amateur boxing at its best. Sorry, Ryan, thank you so much for joining.
Big shout out to all the people who organized this event.
So the impact of sports it can foster opportunities too. In my experience, I have brought individuals from Mexico to enjoy a good sporting event, and they discover the potential of expanding the businesses in Arizona. They never even have sometimes in the mind, in the radar, Arizona, when you invite them and they see the opportunity, they start thinking about what can we do in Arizona. So that's what we can do with sports. So,
Can I jump in?
yes.
I know we kind of saw this presentation last month too.
Yeah.
And, thank you. And I think I saw a lot of enthusiasm along the dais for it. When I called you last week and asked you to come, I guess what we're more interested in today is the business end. What is Nogales' commitment going to be? Are there going to be dollars involved? Who do we have to partner with? Are there contracts we have to enter into? I think we need to move to the business side of this because, we need to go.
Yeah.
So if you have something in your
That's where he was
presentation,
going.
that's where I'd like to
That's
go.
the next step.
Yeah, the deliverables is right there in the next street. We had this company, Liver, in Puebla, that they already have initial talks with the mayor. They show interest. They want to expand the plastic factory here. The mayor was very kind to give us a tour, potential, sites or where we can collect the feedstock. That's one of them. The other one is creating a signature event on sports, like I was talking. Maybe soccer, boxing. The other business, we're looking into it, that we exploring and we working with Joe Bustillos, is the slush. And how can we create hard products with that? We in the process working with the University of Puebla to create the products to see it's durable and we can take advantage of that waste to make the product. The other ones, it can be determined based on the city, you city manager, what the areas of opportunities or what you need from my services. We more open. That's the way I work currently with the city of Douglas. Right now, also we can look into the grant I mentioned last time from NatBank, the CAP grant. That is $750,000 we can bring using these projects. So basically that's what I put it there, deliverables, urban development, circular economy, and business recruitment initiatives.
Okay, so in the interest of time, what I'm going to suggest is, we need to start drilling down to the details, okay? And that's really at the staff level. Now, that's not at council level until we have something to bring back for them to approve. So what I would suggest is that we schedule some time, and it's going to be real limited for me, to start working on the details that are involved so that we know all of those things I mentioned before, plus any funding opportunities from grant agencies that you and I discussed a month or so ago with the mayor. So that's where I'd like to go with this.
Okay.
And so if we can start scheduling some time to deal with that, and of course, we're going to need legal at some point because of any contractual agreements will need to be reviewed.
Right. My question and concern is going to be with regard to the city has to follow its procurement rules and requirements for consulting services. And so we need to be able to know what the proposed details are, because any procurements with a total combined over $100,000, it's not just this year, but if it's a multi-year deal, if it goes over 100,000, we have to do a formal RFP process like what Douglas did. So we'd have to do a formal RFP and ask for proposals from anybody who
is open. Yeah.
So, yes.
Yeah. I went through that process, and I was happy to be to raise my hand, and I was honored to win the contract.
And it was under 100, right?
And I've been delivering to them.
Are you talking about?
They're renewing my contract because.
I thought you were talking about your boxing match in Douglas a couple of weeks ago.
No, yes, but they also.
Did you win?
Yeah, I won. Yeah,
So could you, in the interest of time, could you reach out to me sometime in the next couple of days?
Just
we'll set aside a time. I don't have to bring you down here. We can do Zoom or something like that. We'll get all the right people in the room and start drilling down on the details.
On the numbers.
Yeah, because we need to know all that for council to make a decision.
Excellent. And yes, and one of the characteristic that on me is that I like to deliver. If I'm committed with something, I don't rest. I'm stubborn until I make it happen. So that's something that's my personality. I'm not any average consultant.
Okay. That'd be great.
Thank you, Cesar. You had a question, Mr. Bonilla?
No, I'll ask Mr. Hawken to ask for certain information when no necessary. No, never mind.
Okay, thank you.
Gracias, Cesar.
Your time. Have a nice.
Next, we move to J, discussion possible action considering of activating additional streetlights throughout the city, additional streetlights throughout the city to improve visual and public safety. Mr. Dahl?
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
The reason I placed this, it's I've had some complaints of different areas in the city of residents that feel insecure in the darkness of night. In other words, you can go 5 poles, city poles that have lights on them, but they're off. And then you run into one. And one of the main thoroughfares is here in Western. As a matter of fact, on that project that they're working right there by the Armory, at night you go through, it's total darkness. Once you pass the Circle K, that kind of lights up that area there. But there's other areas in the city that I don't know why so many lights are off, considering that I think the Unisource charges us for all the lights that are on the poles. And when one of them is off, we need to have it called in. Before it was the police department. I don't know if our chief remembers, but whenever night patrols were out there and they saw lights up, they would get that cuckoo number and report it, after they collected a few to Unisource, letting them know that the lights were off. And so we need to address that because it's becoming a safety issue here in the city, and and it's bothering a lot of our residents, and I don't blame them because an accident can happen. One of them told me there on Western that she almost ran into about 9 o'clock at night into a kid that was riding his bike wearing all dark and no lights, and there was no lights in the poles, and he just cut in right in front of her, and she barely was able to kind of swerve and brake.
Mr. Doyle, thank you. If I could interject, this conversation started for me a couple of weeks ago when somebody reported that there were half a dozen streetlights out on Grand Avenue, a little further south. We have already, now, of course, those particular lights are in the most
state. They're probably state.
But Eric Stewart, if you haven't met Eric yet, there's Eric Stewart. He's the interim Public Works Director doing a bang-up job. He's already been in touch with ADOT with regard to that. They've already responded to him. They are going to, they're going to be walking the street, if you will, to do two things. Number one, determine which luminaires are not lit. And number two, who owns that particular light post. 'Cause some of them will be city light.
Yes.
Some of them will be ADOT lights. So, since you've mentioned that there might be other places where street lights are out, Eric can interface with, now our lights, we have to interface with Unisource, I believe. And because I'm from an APS community, I'm not as familiar with their procedures, but there is a procedure, and Public Works can contact Unisource and we can do the same thing with them. Now, what I need from you and anybody else on council, the electric utility will always come back and say, I need the pole number. Okay, so
pole number. Yeah,
there's a
cuckoo number.
There's identifying pole number.
It's a little yellow tag that has like a
whatever Unisource uses. That's what they need. Okay. Consistently throughout the years, regardless of the electric provider, unless we have the pole number, we can't really identify it. So if you get, say, one of your constituents calls you or sees you at the grocery store, ask them to pull the pole number off and then report it to Public Works. And then they can have Unisource come out and relight the fixture. Okay. Now, as far as whether or not certain areas of the town need more light, I have found out 9 times out of 10 throughout my career, it's because lights are out and that's what they really want.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So let's relight the ones that are out, and then we can go around and determine if there's areas that actually do need more light. So the process has already started. We're still working on it. We're happy to continue. Eric just heard this discussion, so he'll expand it to Unisource tomorrow, and we'll report on it from time to time.
Yes, and if you notice the agenda item, it is a kind of consideration of activating additional street lighting throughout the city, and not to include. It's just the lights that are off. In other words, those are the additional lights that are off.
What I just said was we can't determine that until we relight all the lights.
Well, you're going to get a lot of cuckoo numbers. I'll guarantee you that. The tag number.
That's where we start with the light pole,
and that way you can turn it in and see what they have to say about it.
Yep.
Okay. All right. That sounds fair enough. But I just felt that needed to be addressed because
we've
become
already
an issue
started.
of safety.
Yeah, we've already started.
Thank you, and I'm glad. I don't think I've met your interim
Eric Stewart,
Public Works Director.
Yes,
Public Works Engineer.
Nice to meet you. You'll be seeing me. I'll be turning in your numbers.
He's doing a great job for us. So
okay, good. He looks like an honest person just looking at him.
Mr. Bonilla?
We need a lot of honest people around here.
Mr. Bakken, former Assistant Deputy City Manager, Mr. Kissinger, and I, he had a spreadsheet with the cuckoo numbers and the addresses, and so what we would do with the cuckoo numbers, we would either I would give them to him or the police officers that were patrolling at night would gather the KUKO numbers and hand them into the assistant deputy city manager. And it must be somewhere in that computer where there's a huge spreadsheet of all the KUKO numbers plus the addresses, because it's not only KUKO numbers that they will ask for the actual address. But one of the issues that I remember is that there was a confusion because they would turn around and say, "Well, that's not our light. That's the city's light." So it was the big list was never finished on what belongs to the city, what belongs to Unisource. That's one of the things that we have to fix. As far as more lighting for the city, I don't think we need more lighting. I believe the city of Nogales is the city that has more lighting per capita in the state. So we have enough lighting. We have enough.
I have a map that I can see each city and how well they're lit from a satellite. You can't fool an astronomer. He knows where the light pollution is. But now, like I say, I'm not from a Unisource community. I don't know what the relationship is. We will find that out. Because, in some cities, the city maintains their own streetlights. In some cities, they have a contract with the local electric provider to provide the replacement lights. So we just have to find out what that is and go with it. It's pretty simple.
And I understand Mr. Doyle's comment because I think we pay like $375,000 of public lighting. So, and if it doesn't do us any good if these lights are off because they keep charging us, regardless if they're on or off, they charge us the same.
Yeah, well understood. Thank you.
But may I also comment, even though they ask sometimes for addresses, there's no reason why Unisource doesn't have on file well, they should if they know where their cuckoo poles are, because they have them. If they don't, they're really a retarded utility company, and I don't think they are. They have everything up. They have the information. They have those poles to the nearest address, so it should be on file. All you do is turn in that number, and they should be able to align it with the nearest address.
I got it. I've been doing this for 100 years.
And I know, you talked with Mark yesterday from ADOT. I talked to him yesterday and this morning also.
Yes.
And I know the Morley ones have always been reported they're on top of it.
Yeah, he was in my office yesterday.
Yes, he told me. Right. Thank you, Mr. Dow. We move to the next item, K. Discussion possible action regarding the status and circumstances surrounding the downtown arch, including determination of finance responsibility for the reconstruction of the arch space. Mr. Dow. Turn on your mic.
Okay. So, we've been waiting for this arc that was approved, and I believe the vice mayor was in charge of that project. And supposedly there was even funding to be able to place the base, I guess, to install the arc. But then I heard that nobody knew anything about the arc, where did it go? So hopefully I'd like to have some light shed on this project of where is the project, where is the arc, and who's funding the base, and how far are we away from having that arc downtown set up? That's basically why I put it in place, because there's too many things going around that are controversial.
Say no more. I got it.
All right, thank you.
Okay, the arch is pretty much complete, and we have paid for most of it. There's still some $25,000 that we haven't paid, and I guess that's so that they will deliver it to us, and it should be able to be delivered soon. Now, and I've talked with Eric about this as well. The bases still have to be constructed, at the appropriate places, and I know that at least at one location, the Public Works staff have identified a spot that we were going to place one of those bases that may be over a tunnel. So they may have to move that someplace else. My understanding also is that that there has been a donation to help put those bases in. And so I think the last news I got was that they were going to be bringing the arches across soon. And then we'll have to, my druthers would be to fabricate the bases, so we just have to set the arches, but I don't think we're going to be able to do that. I think they're going to get over here before that, because I think the fabricator wants the rest of his money, and I don't blame him for that. So yes, it is moving. It might be moving a little faster than we can find and locate and fabricate really the foundations, which are going to be a concrete and steel structure. So first, the engineers have to determine if those locations are appropriate and safe, and then the next thing we do is that we bring the arches over and fabricate and install them.
Well, I have a question.
That's
why if you're going to build something, you go with the base first. Where you're going to install it, how much it's going to cost, and besides, where was the ark? It's almost been a year that's been missing, and who's building it? How much is it costing overall? I hear what's left, but do we have to pay more than what it was, and to who?
That's
well. I mean, those are good. Those are reasonable questions.
Well, they're reasonable questions, but the arches themselves, or arch itself, okay, that was a known figure, and that's the figure we're paying.
Well, who built it?
Okay, a fabricator in Mexico. That's all I can tell you.
In Mexico?
Yes.
You're telling me that it was built in Mexico?
It was
for an American product, for a city that's supposed to pay for American products?
Well, do you want us to cancel the order?
It was brought to council, and council approved it.
I don't remember approving that bill built.
Yes, it was brought to council, and council approved it.
Mm-hmm.
That would be illegal. Why would he even bring it up to council?
Mr. Doe, I think we approved, but I
don't know how you.
I don't think the production of the arch was never disclosed that it was going to be done in Mexico.
Where did we get the funds to pay for that?
It was never discussed where it was fabricated. At least I don't know.
I thought those were
It was approved with
the ARPA funds. ARPA funds.
No, we approved the ARPA.
That was what was left over. There's a vice mayor.
Hold on. It was
Vice mayor, you were in charge of the project?
Let me talk. It was approved with a fabricator from the U.S., but to the knowledge of it being constructed in Mexico was never mentioned. So
they didn't tell us. That's another word.
Yes, they did not tell us.
But now I want to know why
our
was it
payments have been to an American company, right, or a person?
I don't know who's the company. Was Mr. Tapia, who was in charge of.
I know, but we don't do it to a company in Mexico. Our payments.
As far as I know, it's a vendor.
It's a U.S. vendor. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, because we would have. Mr. Bojorquez, did the funding you asked on the outside was it?
Go ahead, Mr. Pocket.
Mr. Mayor, the name of the firm is AJML Contractors.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So then he took it to Mexico to get it built over there. Is that what happened? But again, we're not supposed to be paying for stuff that the city that's being built in Mexico. In other words, it's supposed to be American made.
Well, I mean, what we're talking about right now, we can't change no matter how long we talk about it. And so if you want to get it done, fine. If you want to cancel it, that's fine too.
I thought it was already built.
It's built, but it's going to be brought across soon. Still in Mexico. So.
I'd like to respectfully request like an invoice of what was paid, how much was paid, and if that's possible from the builder.
Okay, yeah.
Please.
Yeah, there could be something legal going on here, and we're being accomplices to it.
Okay.
I don't like
we'll
that.
Get, hopefully we'll get
Chief,
this to the.
if you could take Mr. Doyle into custody, because he just admitted to.
Okay.
I was just looking through trying to find some additional information. I was looking through this would have gone to council, was approved by council back in, I want to say it was in January or February of 2025. And the contract was with AJML Builders for, I want to say it was $111,000 for the construction of the arch.
Yeah, and there was a fund of about 200,000 or something like that to do that project?
At the beginning, when we started the Morley project, we had $250,000. First, it was $500,000. It was from the ARPA funds.
ARPA.
And then they took half of that to finish the project up on Rancho, what's it called? Royal Road and Rancho Grande project. They took half of that, so they left us with $250,000. Then they took another chunk and they left the Morley project with $120,000, and that's what we were supposed to use for that arch. And Mr. Tapia was in charge of doing the procurement. I don't know, maybe we should check on the procurement regulations, see if if Mr. Doyle is right that we're doing that was inappropriately done. Purchasing something in Mexico. I don't know if it's an American company and they just do the assembly in Mexico, just like Ford Motor Company and all those maquiladoras. They bring all their material and they assemble in Mexico.
No, I know, but these are federal funds that you're talking about that paid for the art.
The ARPA.
Because they're from the ARPA fund.
Yeah.
So they're federal. We're spending money in Mexico for a product that was supposed to be done here with federal funds.
Okay, I can't.
That can bring the FBI down on
as far as
that. So that's Mr. Attorney, you were aware of that, weren't you?
I was aware of what?
Of the thing being sent to Mexico.
No.
You weren't? Okay.
None of us were
involved in the details of construction of arches.
Okay. Well, you're in details of a lot. You're in charge of a lot of details of how the money spent in the city.
Absolutely not.
Okay. Well,
Mr. Mayor,
somebody's going to have to explain it.
I don't think we can litigate this thing tonight.
Yeah.
There was another public records request made recently, and Miguel can provide you all with what he supplied tomorrow if you want it.
That'd be a good idea if we get at least for the next meeting.
And what's that?
It'd be nice if we got more information on that for the next meeting.
You can have it tomorrow if you want it.
Okay, thank you. I'll stop by.
And as far as the rest of it's concerned, I mean, what's done is done.
Well, no, I know. But what I'm trying to say is let's be more careful of how we spend our federal funds that we get funded from the federal government. They don't give it to us to spend it in Mexico. So we got to cut that process out.
Well, and you're talking to a bunch of people who weren't involved in that part. Okay.
No, not fine. But let's find out who did it because
it's really over.
You keep saying that it was funded in Mexico, but the contract is with a company. We don't control where they make and fabricate the product. And I, as the attorney, don't have any say in that either. So I don't appreciate the insinuation that I should know the details of an arch being built in Mexico under a contract that council approved. So,
but not to be built over there. And again, I understand, and I understand that you weren't aware of that. So, but what I'm saying is we need to be very careful with that because those were federal funds that paid for that arc, and federal funds say don't spend it in Mexico.
And you don't know if it was spent in Mexico.
Well, the arc is over there being.
It is.
Somebody got paid for that. Okay, that's fine. We'll leave it at that. Well, I'd like more information on that.
Thank you.
Just don't be surprised, Mr. Doyle, that you find out that the contractor's address is a home address. It's a residential address. Just FYI.
No.
It's probably just a broker then.
Yeah, there you go. Okay, thank you.
That's it.
Yeah, okay, that's the
Mr.
reason.
Mayor, we move to the next item.
I just have one more question for Mr. Ojorquez. Mr. Ojorquez,
Go ahead, Mr. Bonilla.
where you got the additional funding for the base, was that ever?
Yeah, as far as the base and the foundation of this arch, we were short. I think it was $80,000 that was going to cost to do the foundation. So what we did is I told Hector Tapia to submit a grant through the South 32, and we were awarded the $80,000. It's in the city coffers right now. So
You were on board with Mr. and myself when we talked to South 32 and we presented that, and they told you to just to fill in
Yes,
the
They
application.
did it, Mr. Dodd.
So Mr. Tapia didn't really have, except that he did the formal, but you were part of getting the approval of South 32.
well, yes, but I as an elected official, I didn't want to get involved in the actual funding of the grant. That's why I had Hector Tapia do the grant, submit the grant.
No, it was, back then, it was something that South 32 asked if they could help us out in something in the city, and that's how, when we just mentioned that, and they were kind enough.
We were at that meeting. They said
Right.
it could be a possibility that they could fund that.
Yeah.
So they just need some details and
In the process,
yeah, and the person that was more qualified to make those specifications, stuff like that, was Mr. Tapia from Planning and Zoning.
Right. Yeah, you were working together with him.
So I let him apply for the grant.
Okay, well, at least we got a lot more light on it, and hopefully with the rest of the information, at least we'll have a better idea of what's going on with the. Thank you all.
thank you, Mr. Dodd. So we move next to item L, discussion possible action inquiring into the status of use of $300,000 previously approved by the city council for the purchase of a digital welcome sign, including an update on expenditures and project progress. Mr. Doyle.
Put in.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. That $300,000 was taken away from that project by a council order that was adopted by council, and the money was redirected to the bank building project.
I don't remember that.
Well, but there's an ordinance on file.
Okay, well, I'd like to give me a copy of that because
Come and see the clerk tomorrow, and he will provide
see if I can get some light why we rerouted that.
It was discussed in a council meeting, Mr. Doyle.
Unless it was that council meeting I wasn't here.
It was
I gotta
adopted by this council.
Look back, but anyway, that's another detour, and so the money wasn't used at all for the digital sign.
Not a penny.
It went to what project?
It was reallocated to the bank remodel.
I know I would have made a lot of noise because that thing's way over budget, and why are we sticking all
Well,
this money in?
that's not on the agenda tonight.
Okay, all right, that's fine, but this is, and you're saying it went over there.
And I'm saying, well, because that's what happened.
Well, that's the tie-in. Anyway, all right, thank you very much. At least we got that out of the way. Go ahead, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Parkett, for clearing that up. Discussion and possible action, consideration of canceling Proposition 415 from the ballot. Mr. Doyle.
Yes, Mayor. The reason I placed that is because I want the council to reconsider that, there's reasons we have lines, district lines, and, boundaries set up for different governmental entities. And one of the things is that, even going back to the old days with our city charter, people knew better that if somebody became a city manager, they have to live within the city to keep a pulse on it. And now we're saying let's put it 15 miles out where they don't even know what's going on in the city most of the time. City manager have high visibility, should be able to get, if he's going to be here now. I know that your situation is different when you're, for a while. But when they're going to be here, I believe that since we have this list and we're going to be choosing from a city manager that we don't know yet where he's coming from, could be out of state, or could be somebody within state. But regardless, I think the first way of them to getting to know the city that they're getting the reins on is to live within the city limits. And I think that's why they have that in our city charter, so that they'll be living within the district of the city and not where we're extending almost to Patagonia and past Rio Rico, almost to Tumacacari, where a city manager can live, where nothing that happens here in the city, they're going to feel the impact of it, because a lot of our that we get impacted from comes from down south of the border, whether it be stench, whether it be flooding, whether it be whatever it is that comes down through the air. And when you're living in the city, you're more aware and you're more tuned in to the business people, to different entities within the city that they need to see who's running the city. And so that's the reason I placed it. I think our forefathers knew what they were doing when they put it on the city charter, that whoever is a city manager needs to live in the city, because he's getting paid quite a bit of money, especially nowadays. And housing there is, I've already checked with real estate, there's plenty of housing. It's a little sometimes a little more steep for the normal person, but we're getting a city manager who's going to be getting paid over $150,000. So, he's not getting peanuts, and he should be able to quite well afford anything within the city. So these are my issues. And again, I believe that he should breathe the same air while he's at home. He should be able to smell the same air. He should be able to be right on top of whatever's happening in the city without having his underlings report to him. We should be calling him, and hopefully he'll respond to our calls. And if there's some kind of something out of the norm, but that's my reason that I think we shouldn't even put it on the people for that proposition, because it affects the residents of this city. That if the city manager lives out away from the city hall, it's taken you a while to start getting the hang, and you're still, so the sooner that somebody sets up shop here, the more informed he's going to be, and especially if he's going to be here for a longer time, he needs to establish relationships with his community, with the leaders of this community, and that's basically the reason I placed that. I don't think 415 is a good idea. I'll argue the point with anybody in the council about it.
Mayor, if I could address the legal aspects of doing this is essentially you're asking for reconsideration of a council action that was taken already. And reconsideration is only appropriate at the next council meeting following that council action. This was an action that was done by council back in, I believe it was September. Council voted unanimously to move this forward to the ballot. This isn't a council decision on whether or not to amend the charter. This is a ballot question for the voters of the city of Nogales to make that decision on whether they want to amend the charter to allow for this change. We are now less than a month away, or about a month away, before the county has to provide the provisional early ballots with all of the ballot questions. So trying to make a change to the ballot at this point would be very, very difficult, and is something that, procedurally, a motion for reconsideration wouldn't be appropriate. And absolutely, if you're no longer in favor of the proposition that you voted for, then you had the opportunity to provide a statement for or against that proposition that would go on the ballot as well.
The legal argument, I guess.
Right, but right now this is very, very. One, it doesn't follow the rules for a motion for reconsideration. Two, it's very late in the sense of the ballots are going out in less than a month.
Well, I've seen a lot of propositions that pass that get scratched out at the last moment. I don't know why you're saying it's you're almost saying it's illegal to do that.
I'm not saying it's illegal.
Okay, well,
did I say it was illegal?
No, but almost you lead us to believe that.
I'm explaining the process to you, Mr. Doyle.
Mm-hmm.
This is a council decision. This isn't a Joe decision. I'm here to explain the process. Nobody consulted me before this was placed on the agenda and asked any legal questions with regard to it. And I get that if you don't want to vote and you don't want to support it, that's totally your choice.
Right. But the only reason they placed it back then, we voted on it, was because the city manager that was there was living in Rio Rico and he wanted to stay over there. So most of the council supported that.
So isn't the bottom line, let the people vote on it when it comes out in an election? That's the bottom
Charter
line.
amendment has to go to the voters of the
public.
city of Nogales. The city voters, the voters of the city of Nogales would be the ones to say yes or no, not the council.
Okay, that's fine. That's but it was the council that placed it there.
Yes, the council voted. Yes, the council voted unanimously to place this on the ballot for the consideration of the voters.
Well, at least we brought some light onto it, and hopefully the people in the community are listening that, they have a choice to make, and it might not be the best choice just because the council endorsed it.
Well,
Thank you.
we'll let. Okay, thank you. Next, move to item N. Discussion possible action consideration of reviewing and revising travel allowances and related expenditures for city employees and city council members. Mr. Doyle.
Again, I noticed that this was visited again by our former city manager back. He changed it. We didn't approve it, but he changed it. He tried to change ours, and we voted against that. But he did change it for the city employees. And I think city employees should be lined up pretty much with how we're treated and the council. And the thing is, most city employees can't afford to pay up front their fees. Maybe you guys make a lot of money. They don't. Most directors make money. They don't. So whenever they have to go out of town for training or whatever, they're expected to pay for their expenses up front, and then they get reimbursed. But a lot of times they probably don't go to those trainings because they have to consider now putting food on the table, especially with the raising costs of our economy, the way inflation is going and everything is increasing. They can barely put groceries on the shelves of their homes. And you expect them to pay for training sessions or other things that they undertake while working for the city or for training purposes. And that's the reason I placed it. We should be a little more considerate about the lower echelons. Even supervisors probably don't make that much money to be able to pay out the, so you give me a reason to show why I'm wrong.
Well, I don't care whether you're wrong or not.
Okay.
I'm looking at the policy right now, and it says, and I quote, upon determination of the city manager that a situation exists which makes compliance with the above maximums impractical, then actual costs of lodging at non-selected conference, convention, and meeting sites may be reimbursed. Essentially what we're saying here is, and this is, believe me, I've seen a lot of travel policies. This is boilerplate text. You can find this in every city. There's always a provision for the city manager to waive that in the case of hardship. Okay? This provides the opportunity for an employee to attend a conference if they can't afford to pay in advance and get reimbursed. It's still there.
Yeah. Let me respond to that. This former city manager we had, if somebody approached him, he didn't like it, he'd get him fired. But so why would somebody go to the city manager?
That's not on the agenda. He's gone.
Okay, fine.
You're talking to this city manager.
All right. And how long are you?
And I'm telling you, the policy.
How long are you going to be here? How compassionate is the next city manager like you yourself?
I got a feeling you're going to let him know when he gets here.
I'm sure we'll have our conversation. But that's the point is,
the policy exists. The policy is good. You should just let it be.
And do those workers know that they have that right?
Yes. It's the city manager's responsibility to know, and it's the employee's responsibility to know.
All the employees are required and have a copy of the city policies, and they're responsible for knowing what the city policies are, and those are in the city policy.
They sign a document saying they've read it and understand it.
Yes. And a lot of them were living in fear in the past. So, you know,
That's not on the agenda.
somebody's got to look after their rights and their status or situation. And that's what we're here for. We're here to represent the community and the employees.
That was taken care of.
But that policy was in place before the last city manager was here.
Okay.
And the policy with regard to the council's travels, that was part of the council's adopted code of conduct that the council chose and adopted, and then the council amended that. So that had nothing to do with Joel either. But there is the provisions and the ability to have those amendments made and done for those circumstances, absolutely.
Well, I'd still like to be a voice for the employees.
We hear you.
No, okay.
We hear you.
No, but I want to again. I'd like to make a motion to approve this change in favor of the employees.
What is the change?
The change is that we go to the old policy where they would get. Is the old one in place?
Yes, it's already in.
Oh, so
Police just left and they got a check up front recently.
they're starting to get checks up front. They weren't a while ago. They were.
No, here's the chief asking.
Okay, well, if it's in place already and it's being carried out, fine. Thank you very much.
Thank you for clearing it, Sergio.
Thank you for clarifying that.
All right, Mr. Dow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Parker. Then Estes.
Okay,
One more. Oh, discussion, direction, and possible action, consideration of establishing policy and procedures governing the collection of cash by city departments from members of the public. Mr. Doyle.
And basically, again, I just want for transparency, clarity, and that we're not in violation of anything, or we have set procedures to accept. I know, like here, they have a good policy of accepting cash for payments on the water bill and utilities and stuff like that. I'm more concerned about the outer branches, like our new public works director is in charge. Hopefully, maybe he's going to put things and make sure in place. I'm concerned about departments that we don't have as close, that there may be collecting, also getting cash. I want to make sure that those guidelines that we have here are also in place in the different departments of public works.
Give me a specific.
Pardon?
Give me a specific instance.
Well, there's some areas there that were in some departments, like there was planning and zoning for a while, that they were saying that they just wanted everything paid up front in cash.
That would be illegal, sir.
Well, then,
that is not in accordance with our policy.
Okay, then good.
Any
That means
employee who does that
we're
is
going to be keeping an eye on that to make
That's a criminal offense.
sure that doesn't
He
happen.
does that, and that needs to be reported to the police.
Okay.
So the policy's in place.
Okay. Thank you very much. Then I'll take it from there. That's good enough for me. As long as we can report it to a responsible agency, that's not going to be going on. I don't know. Do you want me to check with you first before I go and talk to? Since you're the real the one that gives us the legal opinion.
I'm just curious, Mr. Mayor, to put an exclamation point on this and all of the other items that Mr. Doyle brought to the meeting tonight. Almost every single one of these items could have been handled in my office with a conversation.
Well, thank you for opening the door.
Instead of taking an hour of the public's time.
Well, I think the public also, no, we don't think we're taking the public's time. I think they like to know that we're on top of things. A lot of times these conversations that go behind closed doors don't mean anything to the public.
Well,
but if they know that
the course of business and administrating the government, that's what you hire a city manager for.
Well, I'll knock on your door
answers, I'll give them to you, and when I don't, I'll bring in guys like Eric and we'll have a meeting.
Okay, that sounds fair enough.
All been handled without having to bring them to the point of an agenda item. And judging from the heads I see bobbing up and down,
well,
there's a lot of agreement.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't like really the response I got from all of you about that arc that's still in Mexico, I guess. And again, why? Because it was federal funds involved.
That's not on the agenda right now.
The arc's not okay. We talked about it,
Yeah,
but
we're
again,
done.
okay, but again, you're talking. Yes, you brought it in saying that I lost time from the public because I brought these items out. I'm just telling you, no.
I apologize. I apologize.
All right, I'm done.
But I think, with more time and everything, I think we got to look into, the agenda items, and Mr. Pocket, in fairness, basically, we were instructed that we couldn't say no to agenda items. So we'll talk it after that. Okay, so we'll look at that off the record here. Okay, thank you, Mr. Doe.
Thank you.
Then we go to item 9, orders. A, consideration and possible action of orders number 2026-05-017, an order of the mayor and the council of the city of Nogales approving a subrecipient agreement reallocation with the Arizona Department of Homeland Security for an Operation Stone Garden grant in the amount of $137,136 in reimbursement equipment purchase NPD.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. B, in consideration possible action of order number 2026-05-018, an order of the mayor and the council of the city of Nogales, Arizona, notifying the Arizona Department of Transportation in intent to terminate lease agreement CRA 988 for Nogales Port of Entry Facility Site number 2-51-A.
Second.
Any discussion? This is the blind center,
Oh, that's what I was going
correct? That's the blind center.
Mayor,
Go ahead, Mr. Doe.
just to let the general public know that that building's not being used anymore, and it can be more of a, I guess, liability for the city of Nogales, and just so that we're not just letting it go because, but it's mostly because it's not used. It's in kind of lapidated. The structure itself, and so it belongs to the state of Arizona, so we might as well just give it back to them.
Actually, to ADOT. Was this, I'm not sure who put this on the agenda, but was this thoroughly talked with ADOT or?
Yes.
Yes.
And in fact, we went over and met with them because there was a question because somebody had been residing in the property as a residential property. That individual was squatting, had passed away. They asked for us to address this because either the property needs to be improved and maintained, or we need to allow it to go back to ADOT so that they can figure out what the state wants to do with it.
But no hard feelings, everything went?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
No. They're in support of this.
Okay. All right. Just want to clear it up. Thank you, sir. So all in favor with motion and a second? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. In consideration possible action of order number 2025-05-019, an order of the mayor and council of the city of Nogales approving an employment service agreement with Robert Gilliland, there you go, for continuing service as a presiding magistrate. Okay.
If we could have the judge come up and give a nice 2-hour presentation as to.
I can really take 2 hours. I do just want to say that there are 3 members of the council tonight that made me a judge 4 years ago. I'm really grateful for the opportunity to serve the people and the community of Nogales, Arizona. I love it here. if I don't win the election in November, I'm going to look forward to the next 4 years with you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Doe.
Yes, I want to thank you for your service. As far as I've heard, you've done a great job, and I'm glad that you're continuing. I don't want to wish you, but I hope you're still around next year. No, keep up the good work, Judge. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. With that said, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations, sir. Next, we move to consideration and possible action of order number 2026-05-020, an order that the mayor and council of the city of Nogales authorizing the city manager to award a contract with Sunland Asphalt and Construction LLC for the Industrial Park Drive Rehab Project IJA 25-001197-I for an amount not exceeding $2,769,412. Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Parra.
I just have a question. Has this construction company been vetted? So we don't have the same problems that we did with the other construction company? Oh, hi.
Hi.
Sorry, I didn't see you.
Mr. Eric?
Eric Stewart with Public Works.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, so we chose to utilize the JOC contract method, which is under Title 34 in the ARS. And the reason is because we don't have completed sealed plans by an engineer. Our previous city engineer started it, left it, and so we picked it up 6 weeks ago. We looked at it, we said, let's talk to a contractor that we've had success with in the past. The team chose Sunland Asphalt and Construction. I don't know what project they did here before, but the team was happy with their work they had done. And we asked for a proposal under a 1 GPA contract, and they presented it. It was under our budget, and we were delighted about that because it's over a year and a half old, the budget. So the estimate that is. So it was vetted, and this process is they go through a procurement, a low bid process through this 1 GPA program. And so we don't have to go out to bid because it's already been bid through their process and approved by the state.
Cooperative purchase.
Does that answer your question?
It's the same way we buy cars a lot of times. That's the state's already bid it, and so just to answer your question directly, Ms. Prada, this is an American company.
I wasn't going to say that.
I think that was the question.
They're not located in Mexico. So yes, just for clarification, cooperative purchase contracts, if their contract has cooperative purchase use language, which allows other municipalities or government entities to piggyback off of their bid process, then we're able to do that. And that could either be a state contract, it could be the 1 GPA cooperative group that does that. There are many different organizations and contracts that are out there for use for cooperative use. But again, that saves the city quite a bit of time and money from having to go out and do the specific bids, especially when you don't have the signed and sealed construction plans.
My question was, Eric, Mr. Stewart, is it's surprising that it wouldn't have the signed and sealed if it went through all the process and was awarded through the state. Is that normal?
So,
because normally I would figure to apply for it and everything, you had to send all from A to Z, make sure with already like what they call it, what's the word? A bid process or ready, shovel ready, stuff like that. And so this is the first time I hear that the engineer was not finalized. So how did ADOT approve it without a final, or they had to have some type of a engineered project in front of them?
So ADOT had two requirements, and they were very vague. They were basically, I can read what they were, but they had nothing to do with procurement of it. It just had to do with there was no boycott of Israel and some other things like that in China. But those are the only requirements from ADOT for the contractor. Now, for the GOC process, now state contract is one thing, but the 1GPA is, it's kind of a cooperative use program that many government agencies are part of in school districts. And it's not necessarily governed by ADOT, but it meets the ADOT Title 34 procurement laws. And so to answer your question, if we go out to bid with a project, it should be sealed by an engineer, the plans and specifications. Something of this size, we would hope it would have been, because we have a tight timeline to start spending this money. We thought, do we finish the plans or do we move forward with looking at a GOC? This contractor is good at looking at the plans that were finished, they just weren't sealed. I can't tell you why they weren't sealed, but they weren't.
Yeah.
However, they said they have enough to deliver us a proposal for that, the way the plans existed. And the team in-house, we decided, Tony Santa Cruz, our new engineer in training, David Burrell, we looked at it and said, you know, this does meet our requirements for our standards. And so based on that, we felt comfortable asking for a proposal on unsealed plans, but it's not typical.
Okay.
The next ones will likely not be done this way. It was just a matter of getting the most urgent project done as soon as we could in a legal manner. So.
Okay. Because, you know, there is 3 projects that are stepping our toes, you know, with state approval and stuff like that. I know it's not on the item in the agenda, but, you know, that we, you know, we need to get on the.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Just a couple of additional comments that when Eric came in a few weeks ago, he recognized right away that we were under the gun time-wise, because that's like a $6.2 or $6.3 million grant, something like that.
6.2, yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and he understood the urgency and he jumped on it, and his employees helped him to get to the finish line. And in addition to that, I have confidence in his decision on this because he's also a PE. So
public education.
You can make fun of it all you want. I don't care.
Thank you, sir.
I can seal the record drawings.
Yeah. But so anyway, you know, thank you, Eric, for jumping on this one because it could have been trouble if we hadn't.
You're welcome.
Yes, we need to get them. Thank you.
Thank you.
So with that said, all in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Let's get started tomorrow. Next, we go to item 10, Mayor and Council reports on current events. Mr. Bonillas.
I attended this past Friday, got an opportunity to judge the senior projects at Nogales High School.
Mr. Dahl?
Well, I enjoyed the Fiestas Patrias very much.
Fiestas de Mayo.
Oh, Fiestas de Mayo, that's right, Pastre is down the road. But the Fiestas de Mayos were really, you know, a lot of beautiful young ladies wearing beautiful dresses, and even the children were wearing those colorful, you know, outfits, I guess we call them, and it all brought a lot of joy and party atmosphere, I guess, and kind of draws us a little more closer to our culture down the border that we can identify with, and that even for the people that have just moved in or we're just visiting, it kind of it gives them a little something more to bond in, to feel they belong to, because the Mexican culture is very open, it's very friendly, and it's very festive. So they had a lot of good food there on site, and a lot of people, and everybody was enjoying the music and the dance and everything else that was going on. So I want to thank, I know Ested always has a a part in the fiestas, and every year she seems to guide it in the right direction with the rest of the people that work with her and improving it and bringing more people to the event. Thank you. Appreciate that. That's another ambassador for tourism and goodwill. Thank you very much, and for culture, of course.
Ms. Menendez?
Thank you, Mr. Doyle. And I want to say happy birthday. Today is Mr. Doyle birthday.
21, huh?
It's only 50 years.
21.
Another day younger and deeper.
Happy birthday, Mr. Doyle.
We already started with the Fiestas Patrias. That's going to be on September 5th. And I want to take the opportunity to thank the Parks and Rec, Mr. Opeza. Your crew was unbelievable. I mean, thank you really for all you do. Thank you, the police department, also for what you did. And I want to thank all the members of the city council that they were there. It's really a pleasure to have you there. Thank you. That's all.
Ms. Parada.
I just want to invite everyone to our Memorial Day service at 10 a.m. at the Nogales Cemetery by the VFW, Post 2066, and American Legion, Post 23. Thank you.
Vice Mayor? Nothing? Okay, basically, remember we had the autism awareness at the movies. We had basically, Dominguez event here at the bank building across. Attended the high school senior projects, Taekwondo project or Taekwondo event at Nogales High School gym. Opening ceremony for the veterans baseball. The marathon was a great event. Thank everybody, city workers and everybody for all your help. Police, Parks and Rec, and everybody. Attended with Miguel Lopez, his legal free center for the community. I think a lot of people are going to be happy on having that services available. Today I attended the spring summit for the Produce Association down in Tubac, which is a lot of information for our produce industry, USDA, and crossings. Next, we have future agenda items. Okay. Future agenda items, before I forget, remember we have, I'll start it off with, we have work sections on Monday and Tuesday. Then we also have Monday, prior to the work session at 11, we're going to have a short meeting because there's an in-kind actually for the film festival that we got to address. Correct? Okay, and then besides that, any future agenda items?
Mr. Mayor, I just want to notify you that I won't be here on Monday because I'll be out of town, but I'll be calling in.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Ms. Parada. Future agenda items?
None.
Ms. Menendez?
No, sir.
Mr. Doyle?
No, sir.
Mr. Bonilla? Well, not 8:30, but an hour later. With that said, I move to adjourn this meeting. Yes, sir. You have something, Mr. Puckett?
Yeah, a couple of things.
Okay, go ahead.
You already reminded on the budget meeting. Oops, sorry. Already reminded everybody on the budget meeting, so we'll look forward to seeing you there. Let the guys know, we'll get you hooked up. Hector?
I already talked to Miguel now.
Okay, great. On Friday, Mayor and I will be meeting with the governor's senior water advisor. He's coming down here to meet with us, and he wants to visit the IOI and also meet with IBWC personnel. And I understand he's got a couple of other places that he wants to go while he's down in southern Arizona. So We're going to be there ready to let him know what our projects are and what our challenges are as far as funding is concerned. Mr. Delgado from Public Works is going to join us for the meeting.
I will be joining you too, Mr. Park.
So that, yeah. Okay, so I don't want to offend anybody, but it's not a meeting for council, but it's a public meeting in a public building and you're public officials. So if you want to stop by and meet the senior water advisor, that's fine. I already had it posted as a potential quorum, so there's no problems with open meeting law. And I believe Stephanie Stahl Hamilton will also be there, but as with all legislators, it's if she's here, she's here. And that's all I have, sir. Thank you.
And we're walking because we don't have a city vehicle.
You're walking all the way to the conference room.
Just real quick, so I can address the next agenda item for the.
Yes, sir.
I'm trying to get most of my clients to move on to the correct way of doing an adjournment. You don't have to do a motion to adjourn. The mayor can adjourn the meeting simply by saying, having no further business, we are hereby adjourned. Because you don't want somebody to vote against an adjournment and be stuck here all night, right?
In my book, I give them the opportunity. If they want to stay here till 2 in the morning, I got no problem. That's I do it as you've told me before. I do it as respect, and that's why I continue to do it. So with that said, move to adjourn. Okay, Mr. We got 1A. You got Ice? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Anna? Aye. All right. All right. We moved. Motion passes. Move to meeting adjourned. Thank you. I'm